disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
We just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well, welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North, the Hood. This is your good friend Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. Today we've got a fantastic show, as always, I must say. We're going to be covering, well, what else? Last night's fights, $75, well, plus tax, and I think they charge you extra if you're on the HD. We're going to talk about all that, the drama, the controversy, and some of the exposing, yes, I said exposing, that went on last night. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to be opening up the phone lines near the end of the hour, as always. But before we do that, fellas, let's get the business out of the way first. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature. It's always better if you join the BD membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. You can check us out on iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, and the most important thing is that you continue to like, subscribe the show, spread the BDA gospel. There's a lot of uninitiated out there, a lot of people that are walking in a somnambulous state, half asleep. They need to be awakened, all right, fellas, and that's what we do over here. Try to enlighten people, all right. Speaking of the enlightened, shout out to King Bucho in the house, Fluffy Toasters 89, AJR, Will, What About Me, King KO, Don Solo, Danny Eparokua. Who else we've got in here? Hold on a second. Tupac 13, Danny, Anthony Lopez, Shadow of Combat, Rapax Trucking Company. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company. Shout out to Joe, JDA, Alejandro Solis, Neil Simpson. How many more people to come? I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you joining us here. Oh, we get the Don too. El Don in the house. Jack, the Kodo fan, Nuff. All right. Well, listen, fellas, we had a fantastic set of fights last night. Fantastic in the sense that they were a little better than expected, I must say. A little better. But really that much, better off? I don't know, fellas. It seemed like it could have been better, man. Now, how did I watch the fights? Well, I'm not going to say I watched them illegally, but I'm not going to tell you how I watched it either. Just because I don't want to dox myself in terms of my lifestyle and where I'm going, which bars I frequent and all that type of stuff. Hey, Montreal is not that big a town. People can track you down. Anyway, we're going to talk about the fights here, fellas. Now, let me invite a couple of people, start cooking with a little hot grease, as I like to say. Can't cook with cold grease, fellas. You got to turn the stove on. So let's do that right now. I'm going to invite Gonzalo here. I got Jimmy. Hopefully they're on. Hopefully they got the communique that we're going to be going live today. I'll invite King Bucho. Hopefully he can drop by. And I'll invite... There we go. Boxing Chief as well. See if he jumps in. All right, fellas. So, Tank Davies ended up winning by, what was it? Hold on. Let me check it out here. He won by ninth round stoppage, which a lot of people said was bizarre because, I mean, Hector Garcia just seemed to fumble a little bit. And then all of a sudden, whoops, I can't continue. And some people say that they heard him say that he couldn't see. Then all of a sudden he can see, but he's concussed. Now apparently they say that he's got a broken eye socket, I think. So it's bizarre. It's a lot of speculation. I want to hear from more people about their theories. But for the moment, I got to talk about what happened in the actual fight. Well, actually, I got Gonzalo dropping by here. Gonzalo, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, Mr. BDA?
What's up, man? Thank you for dropping by there, Gonz. What did you make of last night's fight between Hector Garcia and Tank Davis?
It was, I don't know, man. I don't know. It was all right. Yeah. Kind of started out like basically just two guys feeling each other out. And they started exchanging punches. Nobody was taking a step back. Kind of like, I'll throw one. See if I can time you. Then if I hit you, I hit you. Then the other guy, I'll throw one. See if I can time you. If I hit you, I hit you. And basically, they were feeling each other out, exchanging punches, kind of, taking turns back and forth. And just what happened was that the first guy that landed the hardest was the guy that won. And I'm not just talking about like, okay, I'm just being a little exaggerated. He wasn't just the guy that landed the hardest. Tank Davis was landing equally as much as what's his name? Hector Luis Garcia. But Luis Garcia was also landing, but Tank was landing harder. And you guys saw how it ended abruptly, basically. So it was just landing harder. Right when the fight started heating up, and it ended abruptly. So yeah, the guy that landed harder first fucking won.
Now let me say this, man, because we said, I mean, this was supposed to be the best fight of the card. A card, by the way, which cost $80 and it was essentially a showcase card to get the rust of some of the fighters that the PBC had either already had in their stable or acquired later on. We're going to talk about that after, but. Tank Davis, like we said before the fight, fellas, we said, look, Hector Garcia is a good fighter at 126 and 130. You're moving him up at 135 in less than a year. What, I guess, one of the biggest punches out there. What do you think is going to happen? And what else did we say on in the previous show? He was going to give Tank Davis the business, and indeed he was. At worst, or best, actually, if you want to talk about Tank Davis' perspective, at best, the fight was even. At best. At worst, he was losing it. The guy was getting tagged. He was getting hit with body shots. You could see him smiling, and he was trying to step it up. But again, I'm going to talk about the CompuBox numbers because I always have to bring that up with Tank Davis. He was fighting sporadically. Even the commentators in the international feed that I was watching were comparing him to Deontay Wilder and Canelo Alvarez, two guys whose low punch output ended up getting exposed eventually. Deontay Wilder against Tyson Fury, once he couldn't land that bomb, what happened to him? And Canelo Alvarez when he fought Dimitri Bivol. And those sledgehammer single shots wouldn't work anymore. And they got beat. And it's the same thing with Tank Davis here. Some people were saying, well, he's got pound-for-pound skills. He's so much better than Ryan Garcia, Lomachenko, this and that. And now you saw what happened here. Again, another fight where he had to bail himself out with his punching power. How many times do we have to see this before people start saying, you know what? Maybe this guy... Because what do you think? I mean, look, Tank Davis is good, but top 10 pound-for-pound, you tell me, man.
Yeah, he's good, and it's one else just because he's short, right? He's short. He's never going to be the guy that's going to be outlanding you because, I mean, he's short. He's going to be the guy that's always trying to do a little bit more to reach out and touch you. So, I mean, Hector Luis Garcia kind of made it easy for him because, and I commend Hector Luis Garcia in the sense that he didn't run. He didn't get on the back foot. I mean, could he have boxed a little more frenetically instead of going one for one? You know, a little bit more in and out, not giving Tank Davis that range that he needs since he's the little guy. No, but basically he gave Tank Davis the opportunity to land, by throwing one punch at a time, maybe two at a time. I know sometimes three combinations, but I mean, when you throw three punches, you're sitting there a little longer too. So I kind of know the answer, but basically, you also got to think that you're in there and you're testing yourself out against a shorter dude, but you also got to be cognizant of the fact that you can't give that short dude the range that he's looking for. But I'm not saying that Hector Luis Garcia made a mistake or that he's not a good boxer or did he necessarily fight the best game plan? Probably not. That's the thing. He could have fought a little bit differently. I'm kind of glad he didn't run. But at the same time, when you give that short guy the opportunity to land this punch, he's not always going to look the greatest. He's going to get tagged up. But when you get a little lazy, yeah, he's gonna land his hard. He's a power puncher. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, you know what?
It all depends how you look at it.
Yeah, no, that's a great breakdown there, Gonzalo. It's I mean, this guy again, just like Leo Santa Cruz and Mario Barrios, they gave him a tough fight, and as always, he had to bail himself out with his power. He wasn't throwing that many shots, and even then, the stoppage itself, some people are questioning it. I don't know quite yet what to make of it, but we're gonna get to that later on about some of the other extenuating circumstances that occurred in what was a bizarre night of fights and low-quality fights, and that might I add. But one of the most, again, the first piece of anomalies here, and it was a night, like I said, full of anomalies. If you look at this official scorecards at the end of the fight, Tank Davis versus Hector Garcia, Tank Davis was ahead on all. He was ahead on all three scorecards, 79-73 and 78-74. They had him winning by large margins to the point where even some Tank Davis fans that I saw on Twitter were like, okay, now that fight was much closer than that. So it's almost like, well, yeah, the PBC, they don't have that many stars. They have to fill the scorecards in advance so that their guy doesn't get exposed. And look, Tank Davis, he's an explosive fighter. He's got the power. He doesn't have pound-for-pound skills. And now you see why. I hope now people are starting to see, because people think that I criticize the fighter. Oh, it's because we're hating on him. No, it's because we're telling you what we're seeing. And people are starting to see now. He fought a fellow southpaw who was coming up from 126, by the way. 126 pounds, had only been fighting at 130 for a year. And he was beating him. At worst, the fight was even. Now you see why. Hold on a second. Where is this shit? Now you see why they didn't want to put him in there against Lomachenko. I mean, do people are people seeing it now? I hope they are. And by the way, we got the proof that they didn't want to fight him. Because again, people can say, well, how do you know? You just, look at this. This from Haymanites. I think it was Haymanites who put this together a couple of years ago. This is from 2016. Gervonta Davis in no hurry to fight Lomachenko, says Mayweather. 2016, all right, he just recently gotten himself a belt, fine. 2017, Floyd Mayweather, Vasyl Lomachenko will have to wait for Gervonta Davis. Shout out to Will, the degenerate boxing fan Lynch, for his contribution with the super chat. What did he say? He said, how many current champions has he beat since Pedraza to make Tank pound-for-pound fighter? What makes Tank a pound-for-pound fighter? To beat a lower weight champ moving up? Exactly, Will. Just that question right there. The answer should be obvious. But you know, Will, the problem is there's a lot of people out there that are oblivious. And so logic just doesn't factor into their mindset. Shout out to Will, again, for his contribution with the super chat. Floyd Mayweather, Vasyl Lomachenko will have to wait for Gervonta Davis 2017. 2018, Mayweather says no rush to have Gervonta Davis face Vasyl Lomachenko. And 2019, Gervonta isn't rushing into a fight with Vasyl Lomachenko in 2020, according to some of the comments there from Gervonta Davis. So, yeah, you get it now, fellas? For those of you that hadn't gotten it yet, now you see he faces a fellow southpaw and he's getting tagged up, he's losing. He tried to step it up. Whoops, he couldn't take him out. And that's the other thing, though. Let's talk about the other stuff that happened in the fight. What was it, 7th round, 8th round? Tank Davis pushed the pace. But again, he's an explosive type fighter. He doesn't throw that many shots. So if he does fire a volley of shots, he has to take a step back and take a deep breath. What happened? All of a sudden, there's a fight in the crowd. And they stopped the fight. Gonzalo, other than Fan Man, where there was actually debris from the parachute that got tangled up in the ropes and they had to halt the fight. Other than that, when else does a fight in the crowd merit the fight in the ring being stopped? I don't remember.
Yeah. I guess since it was so close to the ropes, since it was like right. It was very close to the action. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, listen, short of a gunfight, gunshots or a bomb going off in the arena, they don't stop the fight. What goes on in the ring is in a world of its own. And like I said, unless there's something that's threatening the entire arena or the venue, you don't stop the fight. I remember when Otke Urquell fought Cotto in Puerto Rico. And some crazy Puerto Ricans were getting into a fight there in the upper stands. And everybody looks up at the stands there. And Otke Urquell stopped, looked at the crowd, and then looked at the ref. And the ref goes, "Hey, keep fighting, motherfucker. What are you doing?" You don't stop the fight. This one, you had a couple of ghetto-ass Nimrods in the crowd fighting. All of a sudden, they stopped the fight. Now, some people are saying, yeah, but BDA, are you saying that it gave Tank Davis an advantage? I'll tell you this. Again, if it gave anybody an advantage, I would say it was Tank Davis because Tank Davis is an explosive type fighter with fast twitch muscles. Hector Luis Garcia is a volume puncher. He doesn't need to take that deep a breath. He can keep going and going. It's ingrained in his musculature. He's that type of guy. Whereas Tank Davis, like I said, explosive guy, he needs to recoup that energy. So of course it benefited both, but it benefited Tank Davis even more. If indeed he was compromised going into that round. Again, I'd have to rewatch it. But again, it's just so much drama. And by the way, you also see now, and something else we've been saying here, when people go, well, I root for Tank Davis, But they really do dislike Lomachenko. You go, well, why do you dislike Lomachenko? And they go, well, because he was overhyped. But meantime, they're rooting for a guy like Tank Davis, who runs into pregnant women and flees the scene, chokes out his significant other in public. I mean, that's what the type of people, that's the type of fighter they like. And then you saw his fans in the crowd. Because usually, okay, look, listen, Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and other races, yeah, you might see fights in the upper stands. The cheap seats, right? The cheap seats, you'll see those fights taking place. This took place in the front row. Just goes to show you money can't buy you class. I've said it before, I'll say it again. But anyway, back to the fight itself here, fellas. And don't forget to hit a like, fellas. Hit a like. Really helps us out. Back to the fight. Gonzalo, can we glean anything from this fight as it pertains to a potential Ryan Garcia bout between him and Tank Davis?
Well, yeah, man. You can't be a sitting duck against Tank Davis. I see a pattern with Pedraza. This fight got me thinking of Pedraza more than any of the other ones. But there's a pattern there in Pedraza, Santa Cruz. Who's the other guy? Rolly Romero. Yeah, you just can't be a sitting duck because this guy's looking to line you up, and when he throws, man, he's short, compact. You talked about it. I mean, he's explosive. He's a little stick of dynamite. I mean, what is he, 5'5.5"? So you can't give him the range, man. You can't be fooled that since he's a little dwarf, if you allow him to touch you, maybe one time he gets you, okay, you're going to say it's not that hard. But he's looking to line you up and to throw his powers. He's got a good straight left, man. He got a good straight left. He throws hooks with both hands. He puts a lot of thrust in the punches. He puts all his shoulder behind it. So you can't get comfortable thinking that maybe that shot didn't ring my bell, that the other one's not going to be stronger or harder. Because he will land harder if you give him that range. So, I mean, you always got to be aware of that. And if you're Ryan Garcia, you're 5'10". Man, you got to stay on your toes. You got to stay on your toes because he will be a ticking time bomb from the beginning to the very end. And we saw that he could be losing the fight, but then he lines you up, he catches you, and it's see you later. So you can't fall under that impression just because he's little that he can't crack, and that you're bigger and that everything's gonna be all right. No, because the guy does land hard. But from the outside, Ryan Garcia all day too.
Yeah, and people, that's the good point there, because people make it seem to be like, well, he's just gonna dog walk Ryan Garcia. Yeah, he's gonna have to walk into big shots, man. He's going to be fighting a fellow puncher in there. And he hasn't faced that many punchers. Isaac Cruz turned out to be a better puncher than he expected. And look at how he fought Isaac Cruz. He ran and clinched his way to a decision. And then he had to claim that he hurt his hand to justify the less than stellar performance. Mario Barrios was a decent puncher with the right hand. And he actually hurt Tank Davis, though, with the left. Who else? Pedraza wasn't a puncher. Some of the blown-up bantamweights he fought weren't punchers. Leo Santa Cruz wasn't a puncher. Gamboa might have been a puncher at 126. I mean, again, he's never... And Hector Garcia, decent crack at 130. and he was getting Tank Davis in there with some big shots that sort of shook him up a little bit. So, he was getting hit. Here's the thing, though. Hector Luis Garcia, I think he's a little more shiftier, or what's the word I'm looking for here? Wily than Ryan Garcia. But he was making Tank Davis expect the left hand, and then boom, he'd catch him with the right hook to the body. And remember that's what Ryan Garcia has been working on in the last couple of fights. He goes to the body. He makes you think he's going to lead with a hook, and boom, all of a sudden that hook goes downstairs. So, man, that's a 50-50 fight, man. And now a lot of Tank Davis fans are starting to wake up to that thing. Now, some of them are still doubling down, though, and they're saying, nah, man, he dog-walled Ryan Garcia easy. I even heard somebody say on Twitter, he goes, well, Ryan Garcia can't fight going backward. I go, fucker, that's how he used to fight before. Before he learned how to put pressure on, he's a long-range fighter who wants you to come at him so he can catch you with his counter hooks. I don't understand where people get this from. Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia now at this point, that's why I gain respect for him, because he used to be the guy that waited for you to jump in so he could catch you. But then he said, you know what, that's not enough. I want to chase that guys down and show the judges that I'm winning the fight. And that's what he did against Fortuna, Luke Campbell, and against Tagoe. Does he have deficiencies? Absolutely. Let's not make it out to be like Tank Davis doesn't have any, because they've been exposing his last couple of fights, man, for sure. So let's hope that happens. And King Busha says Tank versus Garcia in prison, like in a cage. Well, it might be something like the movie there, Undisputed, with Vin Rames and Wesley Snipes, where they actually have to hold a fight in the prison. I don't know, man. Because, listen, is Tank Davis going to go to jail? I don't know, man. Apparently the judge, like we said before, rejected the the deal that they had, the plea deal, which was going to see no prison time for Tank Davis. So apparently she's saying, hey, listen, this guy deserves some prison time. But we'll see what happens when push comes to shove, man. Again, it's in Baltimore. They love, the mayor apparently over there. He's one of those, or she or he, whatever. He's one of those liberal mayors that just believes that everybody deserves a chance, no matter how long the rap sheet. So we'll see what happens, man. But hey, hopefully the fight happens. But just I can't believe that there's still people out there that root for Tank Davis. After everything that's happened to him, everything he's done rather. It's amazing to me. Anyway, listen, let's move on to another one of the fights of the night. What's that, Gonzalo? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in the post-press conference, there was a guy from Dante's Boxing Nation that instead of asking a question, he even said it himself. It was rhetorical. He said, I want to make a statement. It was pretty stupid. First, he talked at the same time some other guy was going to say something. He said, hey, you're cutting me off. This is a representative, I guess, I don't know what the name was, from Dante's Boxing Nation, and he goes, Tank Davis, you said that Hector Luis Garcia has better skills than Ryan Garcia. Now I'm going to make a statement. Now that is it safe to assume that since you knocked out Hector Luis Garcia in 9 rounds, that you will beat Ryan Garcia quicker than you did this guy? And Tank Davis, he's a fighter. He knows the difference between him and Hector Garcia. And you said it right now. It's true. Just the way it changed for Garcia, for Hector, that it's going to change for Tank. It's the same thing. Let's say same thing when Hector Garcia fought Roger Gutierrez. Depending on the power of the guy that you're facing, you're not going to have it that easy. It's not going to be a gimme. Ryan Garcia hits harder than Hector Garcia. So therefore, that speed and power is not going to allow Tank Davis to comfortably line you up and then set you up to land his bombs. So that's one thing that people, not you or somebody here, I'm just saying in general, people think because like that dude asked that question, it's not going to be a cakewalk like that. Because let's say Hector Garcia's got better skills. The imminent threat from his punches are not the same as Ryan Garcia. Based on Ryan Garcia's speed and power per square inch, man, Tank Davis is also in danger of getting caught. So yeah, you just can't be sitting there like thinking unassumingly that you're not going to get hit back.
Absolutely, Gonzalo. Yeah, I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that this fight is going to be very, very close, if indeed it happens. Josa in the chat says the woman beater is going to say Ryan is on roids when Ryan smokes him. Wouldn't be surprised, man. I mean, just look at what happened when Fury beat Wilder. They couldn't take it. It had to be the gloves. He had to have cheated. It was gloves. It was no padding. It was egg weights. It was Wilder was poisoned. And when Fundora beat Lubin too, It's like they couldn't take it. So, and already Tank Davis is setting up the table for excuses when he says, "Wow, look at look at Ryan Garcia. He just looks so big. He looks so strong." It's like getting a little intimidated at Tank. Don't worry, man. You still get a shot. He has a shot. I mean, listen, it's a 50-50 fight. I don't know who to pick. But
BD, and supposedly he was gonna walk out. He was gonna come out with Adrian Reynoso's brand of gloves, the Canelo No Boxing No Life, and he was wearing winnings. I was like, what the hell's going on here? I thought he was gonna wear the puncher's gloves.
Yeah, it's bizarre,
he
man.
walked out with the winnings. Anyhow.
Yeah, but it's a 50-50 fight. Do you think it happens though, Gonzalo?
Yeah, no more talking. It would be very, very strange if like Ryan Garcia's making statements. The talk is over, and then Tank Davis is replying, "Yeah, I ain't gonna talk." He said, "No more talking either. Just sign the dotted line." It happens on April 15th. But the only thing that could get in the way are legal troubles for Tank Davis. Other than that, it should happen. But it sounds too good to be true. That's the only thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting to see what fucking something's gonna happen, dude. I don't know what it is.
Come on. Man. Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right, man. I mean, this year we're off to a bizarre year too, man. With a lot of fights postponed. Fucking Virgil Ortiz, Stanionis, that fight fell apart. Unfortunately, probably people heard the news. Charlo versus Tim Tszyu, that fight fell apart too. What was the other one? Navarrete versus Valdez. Well, Navarrete is still fighting, but Valdez had to pull out. So, unfortunately, we're starting to see some casualties here in the beginning of the year, but hopefully it picks back up in March, April. Also, last thing on the Tank Davis fight, like I said, I was going to bring up the numbers here. Tank Davis threw 239 shots, Garcia 345. So again, it just goes to illustrate what I've been saying about Tank Davis. Just not that he's not that active, man. And I'm telling you, it's going to bite him in the ass one of these days. When he can't get that knockout, what is he going to do? Anyway, let's move on. By the way, we're going to be opening up the phone lines, fellas, in about 20 to 25 minutes, I would say, maybe half an hour. So make sure you call in and give us your opinion on what happened. Do you think the Ryan Garcia versus Davis fight now is 50-50? Have you changed your mind? Or are you still going with your original pick? Let us know once we open up the phone lines. Gonzalo, let's talk about they call it co-main event now, between Gervonta Ennis, or as I call him, J-Ron, one of the most entertaining fighters out there for sure, taking on Karen. And boy, oh boy, was this a revelation. He went 12 rounds. Apparently the judges gave him all the rounds. But Gonzalo, what did you make of this fight?
Yeah, I mean, that was an opponent that was going to make you look bad. He was pretty, he was never, what's the word I'm trying to look for? He was always moving, making it difficult. So, I mean, anybody would have looked less than stellar facing the Karen guy, the Ukrainian cat. Yeah, he made it difficult for Gervonta Ennis. Credit to Gervonta Ennis. He kept searching and tried to find this guy, trying to walk him down. And this guy was always turning to the left, pivoting to the right. And did he win? Yes. Did he win the majority of the rounds? Yes, he did. Did he look great? No, he didn't. But anybody would have looked just like he did, I think. But it just made me think. They say that the Mexican guys, they can't walk you down. They got slow feet. When you're coming forward and the fucking dude's always like running away, it's difficult for anybody, man. Because you always see the narrative's changing. And credit for him for Gervonta Ennis to keep moving forward. But I'm thinking if that was Virgil Ortiz, does he get him out of there? I think so, man. I think Virgil Ortiz is more aggressive, more frenetic. This guy, Gervonta Ennis, is good. He hits hard. But I mean, I think Virgil Ortiz is probably better. So, I mean, yeah, he looked a little off, but it was because the other guy made him look like that. So, what can I say?
You know what? That's an excellent assessment there, Gonzalo. And I want to start off by grilling the PBC here, because it is their fault that the Ennis, in a way, looked bad. I thought he would have looked bad without the layoff. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that they only had him fighting 4 minutes in 2022, I think it played a factor too in this fight. Must have deteriorated his timing just a tiny little bit, or enough for him to to make him look bad. That's and people go, well, why are you always going after the PBC? You think I'm going after the PBC because I like to, or that I have some sort of vendetta? The reason why I go against the PBC, or we go against the PBC, a lot of us here, is because they're the worst outfit out there. Look at what they did. Look, listen, last night's card was a showcase card to get the rust out of their fighters. Andrade, and I know Andrade wasn't with the PBC before, but hey, they're the ones that got him. A guy that hadn't fought in 2022 at all. He had to shake off the rust. Tank Davis, too, in a way, had to shake off the rust because he hadn't fought since, May 2022? Another guy that had to shake off rust, I guess, a featherweight. And now Gervonta Ennis shaking off the rust. So, in a way, the PBC is responsible for what happened there. But that's the other thing with Gervonta Ennis. Even though he did only fight 4 minutes last year, people need to calm down, man. Look, listen, we've been watching boxing for a long time here. We've seen guys that come in, knock a bunch of guys out early on in their career, and people go, ooh, wow, all he has to do, that's what people thought with Gervonta Ennis. All he has to do to beat Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Stanionis, Ortiz is to show up. That's all he's got to do. He's that good. Well, we were asking the questions. Well, what happens when he fights a guy that doesn't give him a clean target? What happens when he fights a guy with good footwork? What happens when he fights a guy that can crack? And all of a sudden, it makes him reticent to throw shots. We saw all of that last night. Well, not all of that, but a lot of it last night. I didn't like Gervonta Ennis' inability to cut off the ring. He was swinging wildly. And, Virgil Ortiz he came off a layoff too when he fought McKinson, another elusive slickster. And he took care of business. He chased him down. And there's a difference between knowing how to fight on the inside and actually getting in on the inside. In other words, if you jump on Gervonta Ennis and try to fight him on the inside, he knows how to fight in the pocket. But now we saw that when it comes to him actually trying to get in the pocket against the guy that's moving, all of a sudden it ain't that easy. So, yeah, at this point, Virgil Ortiz, because that's a conversation that always takes place, right, Gonzalo? Ortiz versus Ennis, who's better? I think at this point, Ortiz is more proven. He's more seasoned. He can do more things. He can chase a guy down, cut the ring off. Ennis didn't know how to do that. And again, that's inactivity. It's good to take guys out in one run. It's impressive. Don't get me wrong. We're boxing fans. We love knockouts. But then at some point, his managers and his matchmakers and his promoters have to go, okay, this is the type of guy, a puncher he is. Let's put him in there against the best opposition possible. Let's put him in there against somebody that can take his shot. And they weren't doing that. Instead, they had him fighting 4 minutes last year. So that's what happens, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man. So, but I mean, listen, he's still good. He's got a lot of potential. He's a puncher. He's entertaining to watch. And like I said, I blame the PBC a lot for what happened last night with him. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say that if Ortiz would have looked better against Karen than Gervonta Ennis did last night, because that wild swinging, it's not a good look, man. He's got to learn how to cut. You know what it is too? The difference between Ortiz and Gervonta Ennis is Ortiz has more of a predatorial stance. He's got his hands up. He's ready to put pressure and block shots. Whereas Gervonta Ennis, he's got his hands down and it's like, okay, I'm going to walk the guy down, but then I got to take a step back or just scatter one shot. And no, you got to corner a guy, keep him there, and work him on the inside. But like I said, he needs a push, man. Yeah, it's not easy,
the style, what do you call those kind of trunks that he wears? The same trunks. What's it? That boxer from back in the day.
Yeah, the frill or what do they call it? Yeah, those strands that he's got there. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a pressure, like a puncher guy. It's always a boxer that's moving, that's wearing those type of trunks.
Like a Camacho.
None looks up there.
Yeah, people used to do that. People used to wear the frill or whatever it's called there on the trunks and on the shoes. Around the ankles, they would put that frill so that they would look like a half-shaved Big Bird boxing around the ring. It was weird, but it was flashy too. They don't do that enough anymore. Gervonta Ennis is trying to bring that back. Here's the other thing, though. Some people are saying, well, hey, Karen ran. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that what people call the sweet science? People said that, hey, listen, the guy ran. When we say, hey, look, this guy's a runner, this guy's a back foot bitch, and people go, well, it's up to him to stop him. It's up to his opponent to do something about it. Well, it was up to Gervonta Ennis to stop the guy and do something about it, and he couldn't do it. Now, all of a sudden, when another fighter pulls off the back foot tactics, all of a sudden they don't like it. It's a little bit hypocritical, if you ask me here. So that's with the thing with Gervonta Ennis. Hopefully, they get him more fights this year because this guy can't. Listen, here's the other thing. He's 25 now, right? Look at Jermall Charlo. He fought once 2020, once in 2021, and none at all in 2022. That's 3 years down the drain, fellas. That's how fast it can go. These guys, their prime is usually between 28 and 32. Generally, that's your peak, your prime. So you only get a small window to make things happen. Gervonta is starting to get close to that window of being in his prime, in his peak. And if they're matching him up with awful opposition, and he's only fighting once or 4 minutes a year, it's gonna hurt him, man. And now more people are starting to wake up. That's why you see guys like Andrade and who else? I think Tank Davis, who said that they want to fight 3 times a year. Now, whether that's possible or not, remains to be seen. But at least they're saying the right thing, which is, hey, you got to stay active out there, man. People are starting to bring that up more and more. And it's one of the big things that is one of the big subjects in boxing that should be taking place right now. One of the biggest conversations, I should say. Hey, the other fight there then, Villa, I forget the guy's first name, beating Rashidi Ellis. Some people were calling him, my goodness, some people were calling him Rashidi Ellis, like shitty, like he's a shit guy. Gonzalo, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought actually Ellis actually might have pulled off the fight. How did you have the fight?
Villa, yeah. Oh, man, that was, I was falling asleep during that fight, but I saw that it was getting good. I was just tired, and I was sleepy. Well, I saw that it was getting good, and I woke up, and it's like, wait a minute, I need to pay attention. And, yeah, I see what you mean. But the guy scoring the 2 knockdowns in the 12th round and coming strong, like in the latter part of the fight, maybe around the 7th, 8th, 9th, and with, like I said, those 2 knockdowns at the end. Man, I could see what the judges were looking at. Yeah, the guy came strong, and it's true. Like Royman mentioned, the faster you are in the beginning, the more prone you are to get tired. So as Rashidi Ellis was getting tired, this guy was getting stronger. And I think if they were to fight again, Royman Villa beats him. Because Rashidi Ellis fought his best fight, and he couldn't have done it more perfect than what he did, winning the first half of the fight. And basically what he tried to do is he tried to gain respect out of Royman Villa, because he knew that this guy, pressure, 24 knockouts in 25 fights, I got to put some respect on my name so I could kind of keep him off me. And Rashidi Ellis did that. He fought the best game plan that he had possibly fought. But at the same time, he was going to end up getting more tired. And the guy, he knew that. And started like slowly but surely taking over. And yeah, it was kind of like, not luck, but if he didn't get those 2 knockdowns in the 12th round when the corner was telling him, you got to do it for your children. Kind of reminded me of, what's his name? Guadalupe Rosas, I think, when he was telling Julio Cesar Chavez in the 12th round versus Major Taylor, you got to do it for your family. You got to do it for your kids. And the dude pulled it off, dude. He fucking dropped them twice. I was like, holy shit. He was giving me Julio Cesar Chavez vibes.
That's a good point. Now, people need to remember, when you use the strategy in the corner of telling a guy and bringing up the family to implore him to fight harder, he actually has to like his family. Because if he's a guy like, who hates his family or, God forbid, wants to pull a Edwin Valero or something, then that tactic is not going to work. You got to make sure he loves his family first. But you know what, Gonzalo, that's a good point that you brought up. Ellis fought the best fight he could, whereas Villa, he could have done more things in there. He could have thrown more right. Like, I like Villa because he's a relaxed guy. He already had the first half of the hard part done, which was walking Ellis down. He had his hands up. He wasn't too worried about what was coming back. He just couldn't pin him down. Listen, this guy, Villa, all he was trying to do all night was change levels, duck, and try to catch him with an overhand right. Because that's what he did to a guy on Showbox a couple of years ago. But it wasn't going to work. Ellis was seeing that coming. So he was leaning back. He was ducking, weaving. But like you said, he got tired. That pace, that he'd probably never been in there with. Well, he was in there with Roca, but Roca appeared to be slower than Villa. Villa was landing. And don't underestimate, by the way, the body shots that Villa was landing. He was landing a good left hook to the body. And like I said, he didn't really care too much about Ellis' power, so he was walking him down. So that, and there's also a third knockdown that I think should have been called. in between, in the last round before the last knockdown, he got dropped too, and I think that could have. I'd have to rewatch it, but I remember looking at it in real time, thinking, "Whoa, I think that was a knockdown." But in any event, it was a very close fight, and I probably they're gonna do a rematch. They should. And
those shots to the body and those uppercuts on the inside, they can't miss for Roman Villa. And you see it, when Rashidi Ellis was stepping back, when he was throwing them hooks up top, sometimes they were wide, they were looping like Navarrete, they were landing, and some were probably missing too. But on the inside, like close, you saw how he was throwing them upstairs. When he was catching them downstairs, they were piercing he was punching past through the target. But obviously when he was landing, he was connecting, but they were landing, so they looked like they were short, but actually he was throwing like he was punching past through the target. They were just landing with a lot of power. So the dude, he couldn't miss to the body, man. I guess that uppercuts like that close, it's kind of hard to get away from them. So he was throwing with everything, and he was catching this dude. He was piercing them to the body like with heavy shots.
Yeah, like you said, man, it's Ellis is gonna have to work. Look, if Ellis has to do something in that rematch, or if he can change something, it would be just be in better shape if he can. Because this guy's gonna this Villa guy doesn't care about your power. He's just gonna try to walk you down, block the shots, and hope that you get tired, and he's gonna catch you with something down the stretch. Shout out to Boxing Fan ×4 in the chat, by the way, for his contribution to the super chat. He says, I came up with Rashidi Ellis. I'm telling you, man, people on this internet are vicious, man. Shout out to Boxing Fan ×4 for his contribution to the super chat. And yeah, man, the welterweight division is looking into a nice little division there. You got some guys, strong guys like Crowley, Stanionis, Butaev. What happened to Rasputin too, by the way? Or as I like to call him, Rasputin.
Yeah.
Hopefully he comes back to life, like Rasputin.
I think he tested positive or something, then he disappeared after that. No, but the thing with Rashidi Ellis now, man, he lost the O. You could see he was heartbroken. Because, Americans, man, they put a lot of stock on that O. And when that O goes, according to them, their marketability just fucking goes away. And he already had been on a layoff for the longest time. Can he rebound thinking, okay, my career doesn't predicate on that O any longer? Well, man, fuck. Now you got to do it the hard way. It's more a mental thing. Because when they see that, the people assume the Americans, he's beatable. But the good thing, he's got power too, so he's got speed and power. It's not just all defense. It's not all like, what's that dude, Stephen Fulton or like Mayweather, that means a lot. Because they're like pure boxers like that. He's got power. He's somewhat exciting, I guess. Like I'm saying, he tried to put he tried to get respect out of Roman Villa, so he's got skills, he's got speed and power, but just that O ain't there any longer. So see what happens.
Yeah, that's got to be hard, like you said, for like these American guys that grew up watching Mayweather. They think that O is the most important thing. They don't seem to understand that. Hey, listen, maybe this loss actually makes him better. He realizes what he needs to tighten up, that he needs to maybe get in better shape, that he's not always going to be able to dance around his opponents. That's what you learn from these type of things. But you're right, man. For these guys, it's a religion. It's their god, the O, and that's not what it should be. Let that go, guys. That O ain't the most important thing in the world.
Oh yeah. And one of the announcers said, yeah, it's true. That's why I mentioned it. I guess that this was one of Rashidi Ellis' most exciting fights. It was because the opponent made him do that. Is that incessant pressure? Even though Roman Villa, you could say he's slow or he's slower, dude. He fought his best fight. He bought his best fight because that guy was coming. I gotta get some respect. I gotta put some respect on my punches so I can keep him off me. So I'm thinking, man, this is the best fight that Rashidi Ellis could have fought. If he changes anything, maybe he doesn't win the first half of the fight. He wins some, but loses some rounds, and Roman Villa is still gonna come after him and possibly break him down. Especially knowing now that he dropped them and that he won, he's more confident.
I think that's another possibility right there, man. It's a very, very realistic possibility, man. And, let's move on to another fight there, the undercard here. Demetrius Andrade beating Demon Nicholson by unanimous decision. It was a weird fight, Gonzalo. Again, another guy coming off a layoff. Had not fought at all in 2022. And, I'm going to blame Nicholson. Because, again, we know what type of guy Andrade is. You don't go in there expecting an action fight. He's a guy that's gonna step back, let the guy come to him, and try to pick him off that way. So I don't blame him too much for that type of, for the way he fights. Demond Nicholson, though, he's the type of guy that he's not good enough to catch Andrade, but he's good enough that if he goes on the defensive, he's gonna shut and neutralize Andrade's already thin offense down. And that's what happened, and that's what made it boring, because instead of going after a guy that was clearly terrified of him, Demetrius Andrade decided to, hey, let me just step back. Every once in a while, I'll throw a flashy combination, and that'll be it. And look, it's Demond Nicholson's fault that he was afraid of that speed. That's what happens with these lesser fighters. They get shocked by the speed. But then you see what happens when people fight Andrade, and they're not scared of his hand speed. Guys like Martirosyan, guys like Kulke, guys like Liam Smith. Not Liam Smith. What's the guy's name? Liam Williams, the puncher, who was a crude. All he had was a right hand, and he gave Andrade a big scare there, made him go life and death. That's what happens. But this Nicholson guy, gatekeeper, just wasn't going to do. We know Andrade can beat gatekeepers. Now put him in there against Charlo, man, because I'm tired of seeing these type of fights. Gonzalo, what do you think?
Yeah, man, it's a stay busy after tune-up, after fucking cherry pick. Yeah, we know he's good enough to beat guys like that, man. So what else does he want? He wants to. He's demanding too much respect for the caliber of opposition that he's facing, man. Come on, we get it, dude. You're pretty good. I mean, you're a good boxer. But are you better than what you say you are? Are you fucking great? He doesn't look to be that good, but hey, you prove it to me. You fucking show the fans, dude. You face somebody meaningful that's not coming on fucking losses. That's just an opponent there that, you know, we know what Demond Nicholson looked. Fucking Berlanga beat him. Berlanga hit hard. I get it. He dropped him like 7 times, but the guy kept getting up and he went the distance. But basically, I mean, that's all I know from Demond Nicholson. Now put him against another fighter that's pretty good.
Exactly, Gonzalo.
See what
Very
happens.
well said, man. Very well said. Yeah, and listen, they're probably gonna try to match him up with the winner of Benavidez Plant, or maybe getting a Charlo in there. But the problem with Jermall Charlo, though, is that he didn't fight at all in 2022 either. And if he steps into the ring, it's probably going to be in May or something. It's going to be a 2-year layoff. So he's going to be rusty as fuck against a guy like Andrade, who just shook his own rust off and who's very mobile and quick. I don't know, man. But you're right. Listen, Andrade, he should be begging for Benavidez Plant, man, or the winner of that fight. Or maybe Canelo decides to give him a shot after he gets done with John Ryder. I don't know. But you're right, man. Look, we know Demetrius Andrade can do this to these type of fighters. In a way, did he look extra bad last night because of the layoff? Probably. But again, I was surprised by the performance because I already know what type of guy he's going to be in that ring. But, yeah, people that expect him to... Look, when you get a guy terrified of your speed and he doesn't want to let his hands go, wouldn't you try to put a little pressure on him, Gonzalo? You know, maybe try to up the pace, try to get him out of there. That's not what Andrade does. He just says, you know what? I got this guy terrified. Let me just jab him a little bit. Combination here or there. Every 2-3 rounds, I'll throw a combo, and that's it. And he got dropped, by the way, too. They should have counted that knockdown for Demond Nicholson, but they didn't. But I'll give Andrade credit. He does hit harder than people give him credit for, as evidenced last night. He did drop Nicholson twice himself. But again, man, it's just... I mean, it was. That's why people go, oh, why are you shitting on the card? Why are you shitting on the card? Because it was $80 to watch a bunch of guys shake the rust off. That's what it was. Tell me I'm wrong, man. Call in. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me it was actually an even card going in, even fights, 50-50. And even then, some of these guys looked awful against what was supposed to be a free layup. Anyway, Gonzalo, I'm going to open up the phone lines, man. Anything else you want to bring up about the fights there last night?
No, it's all right. They were all right. Hoping they get more. That we see for more platforms. Like I thought last year was probably the worst out of the last, I don't know, 3 years. Hopefully this year it gets good. I mean, Golden Boy, yeah, they put themselves in position to fight for world titles. Maybe they got a few contenders there. I don't know, man. Hopefully, just boxing just becomes better.
Yeah, because look, again, I said we're not getting off to the best start this year. Again, there's already 3 fights that have fallen off, but we can only hope. Hey, maybe it's a rough start. It's like when a fight starts and a guy gets dropped in the first round. What do? Do you just say, "Oh, well, that's how the fight's gonna go for the rest of the night," or does the guy dust himself up and say, "That was only in the past. I'm moving on," and then he takes over? Maybe that's the way boxing is gonna be, Gonzalo. Off to a rough start, got dropped a little bit, but then it's gonna come out with a bang. April, May, and maybe even November. Yeah.
Jerry Roth passed away. One of the referees, one of the judges. I mean.
Yeah, he didn't. He had a bunch of
He's
awful
smaller.
scorecards, right?
Yeah, I think he was questioned by the Brandon Reels versus Richard Abril. I think he had it for Brandon Reels. Was that it? But he was the only guy that really gave it to Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley, number 1.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, but he was disliked a lot. People always used to go at him.
May he rest in peace. May he rest in peace. He doesn't have to deal with the hijinks that boxing brings anymore, man.
Yeah.
But hey, listen. Back to the since we're waiting for phone calls here. By the way, fellas, the phone lines are open, so make sure to call in. And since we're waiting for these phone calls, Gonzalo, again, going back to the Tank Davis fight, not very active in the ring there in terms of punch output. He's just waiting for that one shot. Again, even the commentators in the international feed that I was watching, they brought up Deontay Wilder. And they said, hey, remember Wilder he was always looking for the one shot until he finally caught up to him. And also somebody else brought that good point up, said Wilder was always beating up on these has-beens and never-words. And then once he crossed the other side of the street and fought a guy from outside the PBC, what happened? He got his ass whooped. And I'm talking actually whooped, because I know people like to use the word whooped there as in, a guy lost, a fight, they call it whooping. Now, this was an actual fucking whooping. So I can't help but see Tank Davis in the same vein. He's been fighting a bunch of these PBC guys that make him look relatively good and that he can knock out, even if he's losing the fight or getting outworked. What happens when he fights? Okay, so in other words, Gonzalo, what I'm trying to ask you is, let's say he were to fight Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Lomachenko. How would you see those fights going?
Well, I mean, Tank Davis is not a big dude, but there's always I get even though Hector Garcia was taller, 5'9", he's a guy that came up from 126, 130, and Tank Davis, I mean, this fight was at 35. So, the guys that he's fought in the past, I mean, Pedraza's fighting at 140 now, but the guys that he fought in the past are probably smaller than the guys he's probably going to be facing that are probably been better than those guys. So he's going to be fighting better guys than Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, who are also bigger, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is one of those things. He's fighting bigger dudes that are probably better, and his power's bailing him out right now. Is that power going to bail him out in the future when he faces fighters that are very good with their feet? Mm-hmm. That are not always going to be there to get hit back. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
That's the thing. Can he outwork Shakur Stevenson? I don't know, man. Like Shakur Stevenson, take away the UR and replace it with a Y. That's what I think he is. He's a little shaky. But I don't know if in order to get to him, you're going to have to throw a lot of shots. And that's not Tank Davis. Now, Haney, though, he's fighting up. He's going to be fighting at 140 now. And he's already complaining about the Lomachenko fight, how Top Rank wants the fight to happen after March. This guy wants to have it before March. Now he's thinking the whole world's against him. Again, that paranoia that some of these guys have. But even him against Tank Davis, I would favor Devin Haney, man. If he can avoid those left hands, again, that Jojo Diaz fight didn't instill a lot of confidence in Haney for me. But if he can keep Davis off and not, in other words, what I'm saying is a lot of these guys, all they got to do is outbox Davis, which is possible, like we've seen before, and just if you can, in theory, avoid that power, guess what? He doesn't really have that much else in the tank. No pun intended. We got a couple of phone calls here. Let's go to the phone calls. Don't forget, fellas, call in. The numbers in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. And let us know what you thought about the fight. Well, let us know who do you think wins between Garcia and Tank Davis. That's what I'm interested in here. I want to see what people have to say. 470, you're on the air. 470, what's on your mind?
Yo, y'all can hear me, bro?
Yes, 470, what's on your mind?
This is Never Sober from the Discord. I just want to say, I think if Villa got in there with Karen Chukadian, whatever that dude's name is, he would have done better than Gervonta Ennis.
Oh,
Gervonta Ennis, he looked like shit, bro. He was throwing these wild hooks and then doing 180s and giving his back to his opponent. He did that shit about 4 or 5 times. I don't know how this fool won every round. He got exposed, bro. He's not good like that.
Do you think
he can't fight against runners.
Do you think the scorecards were already?
I mean, not even runners a mover, bro.
Do you think the scorecards were filled in advance?
Do I think the what?
The scorecards were filled in advance.
Yeah, man, they pencil whipped him, dude. No one thought this dude's name. Everyone saw Karen and they said, "All right, sign it." I think everyone got fooled by that. They just thought his name was Karen. He's gonna get his ass whooped. He's Ukrainian that could use that pendulum style well. He didn't ever look like Bebo a little bit.
Interesting, man. Yeah, that's a good observation right there, man. What else never sober?
And then, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then Tank, bro. I called in earlier, and I was saying that Garcia was gonna whoop his ass. If that fight kept going, I mean, I don't know, maybe Tank would have knocked him out, or I don't know. But if that whole little mini riot hadn't paused the fight, who knows what would have happened, bro? I think Garcia would have kept whooping his ass. Tank needed a break. He needed some help. He got his help. His power bailed him out again. Ryan Garcia will knock him out, bro. Tank looked like he was trying to fight huh?
No, go ahead, guys. Sorry.
I would say Tank was trying to come forward with his high guard up. He looked like he was trying to fight like Canelo. You know how he gets compared to him sometimes? I think he started believing in it too much, and I started thinking he really could fight like Canelo with that high guard and stuff. But Garcia was getting around those gloves. He was tagging him clean. He's not Canelo, bro. And if he fights like that against Ryan's left hook is gonna get behind them gloves and it's gonna knock him out.
Do you think that the Tank Davis fans now are getting a little worried because they heard Tank Davis himself start saying, "Oh, he looks big. He must be on roids." So it's almost like he's worried as well. And now he gets pissed up against Hector Garcia and bails himself out in a weird ending. By the way, what do you think of the ending? Do you think Hector Garcia sort of? Are you waiting for the medical report to see if he really does? Yeah.
Highly suspicious, bro. I mean, I don't know how one punch makes you go blind for like 30 seconds or for like 2 minutes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He seemed to look at everyone who was talking to him just fine in the post-fight interview. Like when they're right there inside the ring and they're asking him questions, he came up to explain himself. When no one asked him to explain himself, he was looking at everybody who was speaking to him just fine. His eye didn't look weird and nothing. His face didn't even have any damage on it. I really don't buy that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm telling you, man. Tank Davis, it appears like he's having doubts never sober. That's what I'm getting here. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
You might watch Tank Davis pull out of the fight. Watch him rematch Pitbull Cruz.
Oh.
Gervonta Ennis. I mean, Puss in Boots Ennis. I want Rare Breed to call in. I want him to explain how he won every round.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's easy. You gotta be
name? What's that dude's name? Ronald Ellis. Bro, this was supposed to be a showcase card. People didn't want to watch this card because everyone thought that the opposition was so overmatched. You know, Al Heyman's firing whoever the matchmaker was for this card, bro. He's not making no more cards for PPP.
Well, they had no choice. They had to get these guys some fight to begin January because this is probably the only. Don't be surprised if this is the last you see of these guys this year, man. Like Gervonta Ennis, he might not even fight again. Ellis either. Tank either. Don't be surprised, man. Do not be surprised. By the way, listen, never sober. Excellent call, man.
And the funniest thing.
Yeah.
No, go ahead and finish. My bad. I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead, because we gotta move on, man.
Okay. I was gonna say, Gervonta Ennis really had the audacity to call this guy a runner after the fight, bro. He's trying to say, "Oh, it's hard to make a fight happen when these dudes are running." Like, haven't we heard that somewhere else before a million times? It was just really funny and ironic, bro.
Exactly.
But that's what I think I want to say.
They don't like it when the other guy doesn't. All right, never sober. Thank you for your call, man. Catch you on the next one, man. Take it easy out there.
All right, take it easy.
All right, let's go to. Don't forget, people, call in. let us know who you think wins between Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. Did the fight last night change your opinion on the fight, on that potential mega bout that could take place? They're saying April. Let's go to 843. 843, you're on the air. 843, what's on your mind?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, man. What's up?
Hey, this is Auto Conditioning. So I'm calling. Well, for the first question, I think Ryan Garcia can win. Maybe if he plays it like Hector did in the first 3 or 4 rounds, kind of out of the range, and I think eventually he'll catch him with the left hook on the body or on the chin. I think preferably if he goes to the body, he'll probably finish Gervonta. If you look at the fight, Gervonta was kind of countering Hector's jab and lead or the rear left hand, and he was going back. So I think that if Ryan kind of sticks on the outside, he can probably win it. Moving forward, what was the thing I was about to say? Oh, yeah, Hector Garcia. I don't know if you guys noticed what was the punch that really knocked him down, but and they didn't replay it. But I'm pretty sure it was the punch that Tank. He hit him in the back of the head, and he dropped him to the floor. It wasn't like Hector, he kind of bent down, and then he got hit in the back of the head. And after that, he couldn't recover. So that's what I saw, and they never replayed that the entire time. They were replaying the end sequence. So I don't know why. I think, what was that?
I just said, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they were both doing it, but I think Tank got the best of him in that time. Like, I think he didn't hit him with the thumb. I think he hit him with the knuckles down. And I know it doesn't really take much, especially I'm not sure how many punches Hector has gotten before in sparring. So, it only takes one. So I wouldn't take it out of the realm of possibility that he actually got injured. But they never showed that sequence, the trip sequence that he fell down. Right. They never showed why he did. And I'm pretty sure that's the big punch. And then, they kept showing whenever Tank hit him with the left, but they never showed that Hector was hitting back. Like, it wasn't completely out. He was just kind of dizzy. But yeah. And then Boo Ennis, first time seeing him fight a couple of rounds. I only saw the one that he did 4-minute rounds last year. The 4 minutes that he fought. Not impressed. Not really. Still pretty good, but I think the guy made him look really bad. So, but that's about it.
All right. Well, listen, man. Thank you for your call there. Excellent points, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, the caller makes some good points too about the replay. That's what I heard, but I didn't watch it. I had to go to sleep, man, because it was fucking. They really did push this card late, and I couldn't stand to watch any post fight interview. I did see though, as I was brushing my teeth, I came in to at the last minute to see the TV there, and I saw that Tank Davis was bruised up. I said, oh boy, he took a lot of shots in there against a featherweight, by the way. A featherweight. That's what people need to put into perspective. Yeah, okay, he looked a little bad, but he ended up knocking him out. Yeah, against a featherweight. Shout out to Frankie Sainz for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Boots lost to the hermaphrodite Karen. Oh, come on, man. Jimmy was right. He says, explains the rainbow on the trunks. Just saying. Oh, I mean, listen, that Karen guy ended up to being the surprise of the night, too. Him and Villa. Shout out to Jonathan Lambarena for his contribution to Super Chat. He says showcase card ended up showing their panties. Oh, ended up showing their vaginas. Yeah, that's for sure, man. And there's people that are still defending them, man. People are still. I mean, listen. Tell us. Does Tank Davis have pound for pound skills? Let's move on to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Let's go to 661 here. 661. You're on the air. 661. What's on your mind?
Salute, BDA.
Oh,
so yesterday was a Shadowban. Salute, Gonzalo. Salute everybody in the chat. Salute. This is the best boxing channel alongside Rapid and me, of course. We do run the whole boxing industry. And I want to mention yesterday was a great, satisfying night. I feel like I just busted a fat nut in somebody's throat. The way I felt, it was satisfying. Like we're witnessing the era, the end of black boxing. I think we all should be happy about that. Because if you guys are not aware, the card yesterday, these dudes are people that have been hyped up by the Caucasoids, the people who are so eager to shove these professional victims in our face, and they're the greatest, So somehow Boots is, for whatever reason, brought up with Teddy Atlas, and then trying to just to downplay Virgil Ortiz, who's on 100% knockout rate, 100% KO rate, still hasn't managed to get a title shot against the people who haven't been stripped of their titles, even though they haven't fought mandatories in how long, BJ?
Oh, man. I can't even remember, man.
And Andrade was another dude that was, he fucking interrupted Canelo's press conference and wanted to get the affirmative action treatment, cut the line and, I'm black, opportunities that I don't deserve, ducking everybody. He got dropped. Boots Ennis went the distance. These are people who were trying to sell us as the best. Meanwhile, the actual best can't get a title shot. Gervonta Tank Davis, and I watched all the fights. It's clear that there's a reason why he's accusing Ryan of steroids, 100%. Because after seeing that performance, him getting cracked all night by Hector Garcia, if Ryan, he will catch him, it's a wrap. So I don't think they're going to allow the fight to happen. I don't think so. There's a reason they don't allow, they're protecting Spence from Crawford. Fucking Virgil. Crawford and Spence from Virgil. And you see the excuses they make, how they take it to another level. Because I told people before, if you guys don't know, most black people, especially in America, are children of the devil. So I think we should celebrate how we're witnessing the end of black boxing, right? Usyk is champ, Fury, right? And finally, hopefully, Errol Spence and Crawford could just go away and, let real fights happen.
$80 for that card last night. $80 for a couple of guys shaking off the roster, and they couldn't even do it properly. So it was bizarre, man. But anyway, listen, shut up, man. We got to move on. But thank you for your call, and catch you in the next one, right, man?
Peace.
Take it easy, man. All right. By the way, I want to remind people that the views of the callers and some of the panelists are not representative of the BDA Boxing Organization. Just putting it out there. Look at the disclaimer right there. That's the legal armor that my mentor and attorney, Rayful Shapiro, brought up. So I just want to make that clear here. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. 443, you're on the air. 443, what's on your mind?
All right, bro. Let me clear my throat for this one.
You're on the air, 443.
First, I want to get this. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
All right, so I want to get this out the way. Tank will beat Ryan Garcia. I don't care what nobody say, because Ryan Garcia don't move his head. He don't have the footwork and ring IQ just like Tank. Let me get that out the way. Boots, he didn't do good yesterday because I felt like he didn't cut the ring off. But he was just chasing because he was getting bored. You know what I'm saying? He was getting bored and around. But he just didn't cut the ring off. You get what I'm saying? But I'm going to go back to Ryan Garcia and Tank. I feel like Tank can knock out Ryan. And if you look at it, Ryan is only quick. You get what I'm saying? Ryan don't got the power like Tank. Ryan don't got the ring IQ like Tank. Ryan don't have the uniqueness like Tank. Don't get me wrong, Garcia is a really good fighter. He's a very good fighter, bro. Because I'm Dominican and black myself. You feel what I'm saying? There's no hate towards y'all. But it's like when every black fighter get the recognition like Tank, it's always somebody saying some little sick shit about Tank. Because I'm from Baltimore, and I'm gonna back him up for sure. You feel what I'm saying? I'm gonna back Gervonta Davis up for sure. You feel what I'm saying? I'm from Baltimore, so I already know how this shit is. I know how this shit go. You feel what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this, caller.
I know motherfuckers who... Listen, though, listen.
I wanted to ask you something. I wanted to ask you something. Do you think the fight... That's great. Do you think the fight happens, by the way? the Garcia Tank Davis fight?
Yeah, I feel like it happened. Yeah, hell yeah, I feel like it happened. You know why? You know what? I feel like Ryan will pull up because of his mental illness. Didn't he pull out last time? Or am I mistaken?
that's why I'm asking though, because you bring up a good point. Who's gonna fuck up first? Tank Davis, is he gonna get in trouble again outside the ring, or is it Ryan Garcia?
No, because
make something about mental illness.
All right, so let me tell you this: Ryan has the height advantage and the reach advantage, but if Tank fight him, what is it called? If you fight him in the inside, Ryan is in trouble.
That's right.
Ryan is in trouble. I don't care what nobody says. Ryan is in trouble.
That's right.
That left foot shit. Trust me, Tank IQ and his reflexes is on point. Tank has way more experience than Ryan, and I'm telling you this because Tank is from my city.
That's right.
Tank is from my city, and I knew people that used to box with Tank.
Got to represent. Now, well, listen. Hopefully, the fight happens, man. Because again, a lot of these fights have been falling through, man. A lot of these fights have been falling through. That's why I'm asking people, what are the chances the fight happens? Hopefully they happen, because I'm getting tired of 3 fights already fell through.
It's definitely going to happen, though.
Well, let's see. We'll see, man. We'll see. I'm hoping it does, man. But anyway, listen, we got to move on to another call here.
It's definitely... Okay, but it's definitely going to happen. I for real feel like it's definitely going to happen. So, you feel what I'm saying? Y'all just sit down and watch. You know what I'm saying? Because Tank is something special, and he's going to show y'all something. And I'm going to get off. I ain't going to hold you up. I appreciate you letting me on here and getting my point.
Thank you for your call. Thank you for your call. I appreciate your enthusiasm too, man. I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I hope you're right, man. We need these fights to happen, man. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I was going to ask him his name so he could call back. Because he brought up, listen, we're going to be optimistic too, man. People think, the sport sucks, listen, that. Look, last night, was it the best night of boxing? No, but there was a lot of drama, and that's why we take that and we make something out of it here on the show. You gotta look at the glass half full, people. That's what I always like to say. Gonzalo, before we get to another call, anything else you want to say here, man? About some of the calls?
No, he can't besmirch him. He's got faith in his fighters. That's what we want to see. We want to see people having faith and stand up for what they believe. That makes it an interesting fight. If you got all these guys that are following fucking Tank, and you got all these guys that are following fucking Ryan, hey, like in the words of Mills Lane, rest in peace. Let's get it on.
Absolutely, Gonzalo. See, that's a spirit, man. That's the thing. That fight is going to bring... Look, you saw the guy who just called in. He's from B-More or whatever they call it, the slang. He's standing up for Tank Davis, you feel me? And there's going to be people out there that are going to be standing up for Ryan Garcia as well. And it's going to bring up a lot of... I don't think... There's only a couple of fights that could really ferment a lot of interest between fans here in the YouTube boxing community. That's Wilder versus Luis. Maybe Canelo versus Benavidez or one of the Charlos. You feel what I'm saying? But that's really all it, man. We need these type of fights, man. These are the types of fights that get the boxing world, that keep it turning. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like. And don't forget, if you want to call in, the number's right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Call in, fellas. Give us your thoughts. It's open lines here. Anybody can call in, man. Let's go. Let's go to 813. 813, you're on the air. 813, what's on your mind?
Hello, can you hear me?
Absolutely, 813, you're on the air. What's up?
How's it going, BDA?
I'm doing fantastic. Hope you're doing well as well, man.
Yeah, man. Really, the main thing I want to say is it was a great night of boxing. A bunch of good fights. You know, I love seeing Tank fighting. I love seeing Ennis fighting. It was a great night. But what I'm gonna say about the Tank versus Ryan fight, I would love to see Ryan win that fight. I really would. I'm a big Ryan Garcia fan. But the more I watch Tank fight, the more I just get convinced, man, that he's going to beat Ryan because he's so explosive. You know, even though he does lose rounds, and you know he does have his issues outside of the ring, he's very explosive, man. For his size, he's got great power. He's a good boxer, and I don't know if Ryan's going to be able to last 12 rounds with him, man. You know, I know Ryan's got a great hook. He's got great speed. He's a great boxer, but I really don't think he's gonna have a chance with Tank, man. I really don't.
Well, you know what, caller? I was about to hang up on you when you start, because you started off badly when you say it was a great night of boxing. But you're bringing up an interesting analysis here about the Garcia Tank Davis fight. Do you think the fight happens though?
I think it does. I think it does. I really think it does. I think that Ryan and I think that Tank they both really want the fight, and I think that they're going to go out of their way to make it happen. I really do. And like I said, I would love to see Ryan win the fight. You know, I'm Mexican, Ryan's Mexican. I would love to see him win the fight. But the more I watch Tank fight, the more I'm just like, man, that dude, even though he loses rounds, you know, and like I said, he does have his issues, you know, outside of the ring. He's very explosive. He's got great power for his size. I don't know if Ryan's going to last 12 rounds with him. I'm going to be honest, man. I'm going to be honest.
You got to be honest, man.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, we'll see what happens. Hopefully the fight happens, man. And we'll see, you know, the drama's going to be off the hook. Yeah, listen, the drama's going to be off the hook if it happens. All right, 813. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, man, that's it, man. Thank you for having me on. I listen to you all the time. I think this is one of the best boxing podcasts on YouTube.
Oh.
And I'm going to keep listening, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the compliment there. Catch you in the next one.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Oh, listen to that voice. Aren't you sweet?
No, that's not what I want. No, wait a minute. That's not the sound. That's not the sound I wanted to play. Where was it?
That's right.
No, that's not either. Ah, fuck. I fucked up. Sorry, man. But thanks for the caller. Thanks for the kind words, man. What else was I going to say here? Oh, yeah, we got another call here. Let's go to 214. 214, you're on the air. 214, what's on your mind?
Let's see. I think the fight with Hector and what's his name? Gervonta was actually pretty competitive. You know, I think Hector had a really, really solid game plan. But as, you know, the later rounds came in, Gervonta started to get more sharper. He started to land more powerful punches because in the beginning he was missing a lot or partially landing because he had, even though sometimes, you know, Hector would keep his hands low when Gervonta would come to attack, he would use his low hand because Gervonta had to come in close, you know, to attack him. He uses low hand to attack his body, which I thought was very underrated. Not a lot of people do that a lot. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I thought Hector was pretty tight for the most part, you know, but he started to really fall apart. I think 6, you know, he was really starting to get tagged with clean, hard punches. And then, you know, the 8, I thought it was just, you know, I thought it was one of boxing's, you know, let's call it bizarre endings. Because, you know, it just happens in boxing that sometimes you just have bizarre endings. And I think this was just one of them.
Caller, that's some excellent points right there. Are you in church right now?
No, I'm in my house. But I don't want to be, you know, too loud.
Yeah, you don't want to scream and sound like a fucking maniac. Although some of the people here on this panel here that we've had before, I mean, this is the show where screaming is the norm. But do you think the fight happens though? Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis.
That's the question. You know, man, it could happen. It could happen. You know, I'm looking at I'm weighing the options. It could, if they're targeting April, then maybe they could push the court case back all the way. You know, maybe June, because you know in the legal system, it takes forever sometimes, especially down here in the USA. I think they could. I think that if they're really devoted to that April date, then they can do it. I think it has a 75% chance of happening.
Well, hopefully, man. I hope you're right, man. And we'll see what happens with the fight. Let's see if your assessment plays out. Listen, if the fight happens, call back because we are going to be taking down predictions. And that goes for everybody else that called earlier as well. I want to hear predictions, man. When the fight this big, we got to take down predictions. So, caller, anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, I want to say that Jerome Brute Ennis, you know, he needs to go back to the fundamentals. You know, he was relying too much on his athleticism. Even though I really do like his style. I remember watching him because you know I saw his record on BoxRec one day, and I think he was performing on a Salida Promotions card, and I liked what I saw from him, and since then I was following him. So, but you know, he's one of those guys that relies too much on his athleticism. You know, he's similar to Teofimo and the Luis Alberto Lopez. But you know, he needs to get back to those fundamentals. You know, you can't just jump in to close distance. That's very dangerous at the elite level. Who else? Right. Jerron, I didn't really. Hold on, let me just say this before I didn't get to see the fight with the Ronald Ellis guy, but you know, I heard I seen one fight with him and he looked really good, but you know, he's been off for a while. A lot of people thought he did enough to win, which is probably true because I was listening to the fight. But you know, he probably should have just moved the last few rounds. He probably would have won.
Absolutely, great breakdown, man. Yeah, hopefully, listen, these guys, they need to get their activity level up, man, because the rust is real. All right, well, listen, caller, I hear that you got to go back to your sermon. You were lying to me. You are indeed in church.
No.
I can hear the music there in the background. But thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man?
All right.
All right, take it easy, man. There you go, man. Listen, I wouldn't be, if I'm in church, that's my business, man. It's like when you're in the ring, no matter what happens outside, it's another world. In church, the ring, when they don't stop the fight because there's some people fighting in the stands, whatever. And it's the same thing. But listen, some people like this show so much, they gotta call in, even if they're in church. All right. Yeah, fellas, call in. The number's in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. A lot of good calls, man. Look, we've had people breaking it down, a potential Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis fight. I like what I'm hearing. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Gonzalo, though, are you surprised, though, when people don't give Ryan Garcia a shot?
I keep hearing that the people just say that Ryan is fast. You know as well as I do and everybody that speed creates power. But not only is Ryan fast, he got heavy hands. So the guy's also explosive. The guy also can crack just as hard as Gervonta Davis. Remember what Joe Goosen mentioned, that per square inch, he thinks that Ryan Garcia hits harder than any fighter he's ever had before. And I think he used to train fucking Diego Corrales, who's a skinny dude that can fucking crack hard as hell. And I'm going to say this. If you think that Gervonta Davis pound for pound hits harder than fucking Ryan Garcia, okay, I get it, but Ryan Garcia's bigger. He's not 5'5.5". He's not a little peanut. He's fucking like Oscar De La Hoya. When he was fighting at 35, the potential that ultimately ended up growing into becoming a welterweight, junior middleweight. So I mean, the guy's bigger. He's just younger, but he's gonna outgrow that body. So if Tanks is ending up at 135, Ryan's just starting his career at 135, and give it. I mean, he's getting older, so he's stepping into his prime. So that difference is gonna be not overwhelmingly significant, but it's gonna count. It's gonna count enough for Ryan that this guy's gonna be bigger than the Leo Santa Cruz, than the Hector Luis Garcias of the world. He's gonna be a bona fide junior lightweight, fucking lightweight by the time he steps into the ring. So I mean, the power's gonna be there, and maybe also the punch resistance as well. They say he got a glass chin. Well, he's gonna take a punch just as good. Well, I can't say, well, he got knocked out, Hector Luis Garcia. Hopefully he takes a better punch than that, but I definitely wouldn't fall into the trap of allowing Tank Davis to give him that range to hit me back. Now I would fight cautiously and intelligently, but yeah, he got a chance for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think at this point people are finally understanding, if they hadn't understood it before, that Tank Davis is not that hard to find in there. And when you're dealing with a guy like Ryan Garcia, who can hit hard and who has quick hands, it's going to be a 50-50 fight. My thing is, lately I've been thinking that this could be sort of a Nassim Hamed, Kevin Kelly type affair, where both guys trade knockdowns, but it's a very short and explosive fight, and just finally somebody ends up icing the other guy. That's the feeling I'm getting here. And but again, though, hopefully the fight happens. And listen, if you're Tank Davis, you go after Ryan Garcia. The one guy you don't want to go after is Lomachenko, because you just saw what happened last night when he fought a wily southpaw, who wasn't even really that fast, by the way, who was just recently coming up from 126. My goodness gracious. He was getting pieced up in there. Thank goodness for him, he can hit hard. and that Hector Garcia didn't have the wherewithal to say, you know what, maybe I want to keep going, whatever. No, they took a long time, by the way, to pull him out of there. Makes me wonder if maybe his corner told him, hey, listen, we got to pull you out. Maybe he said, no, I want to keep going. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the fight. But, yeah, man, Tank Davis, I think Mayweather had the right idea, man. You know, Mayweather usually is not on point when it comes to his predictions. He's a great fighter, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to assessing talent, I mean, he's the one that said that Chad Dawson was going to be the next pound-for-pound star. And look how that played out. But I think in this scenario, he was right in keeping Davis away from Lomachenko, because that's just a bad stylistic matchup, man. Bad stylistic matchup. Let's see what people in the chat are saying here. The jab is the key for Ryan, says Zion Zelvin. Danny says Ryan's the social media pound-for-pound champ. I am your leader, says Danny. At least he doesn't beat women and shit on... At least he doesn't shit on women and... he doesn't beat on women and shit on toothbrushes. That's what he's saying. J-Rod says, BDA is tripping, 50-50. All right, first of all, that photo of yours is very intimidating, man. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you right off the bat, man. I don't want no trouble with you staring that close to the camera that way. Little Joto says... Okay, wait a minute. Who is this little... he says, the Dominican quit, bruh. What else? God says Ryan Garcia could legitimately KO him. If they disrespect him on the odds, I'll probably pick him. Hey, by the way, Gonzalo... And by the way, people, hit the like. Don't forget to call in. The phone lines are open. The phone number's in the left-hand middle portion of your screen, and it's pinned as well. So if you want to call in, make sure you do that. Gonzalo, I want to ask you something. Somebody said in regards to Gervonta Ennis that somebody said that he should hook up with Naoya Inouye's trainer so he can learn how to cut out the ring. What did you like or dislike about Ennis' performance in terms of putting pressure and all that? Because, again, I'm giving him a bit of a pass here for... the performance last night, because I do think rust played a factor. But what do you think about the technique-wise in terms of cutting off the ring? Does Virgil do it better?
Well, yeah, Virgil is more incessant. He keeps coming after you. And I guess when you got a mover that's pretty dynamic with his moving abilities. You can't like keep trying to find them with an assortment, a lot of punches with the variation of shots. Because the more variation, the more probabilities you're gonna have of missing. I say stick to one punch. If you land in a straight right, keep pursuing that dude with a straight right or a straight right to the gut or something. So if the punch is working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you can't find like the correct way to attack, you might be successful more than with one type of approach than by trying to do too many things. You're probably gonna miss more. And what did I see that he did good? Well, he connected some shots. Mm-hmm. He connected some shots, and basically he probably won the majority of the round. So he kind of dominated. Was it impressive? No. What I didn't like that he was turning like, I think always sober, never sober. That's what his name is. Yes. He was turning his back. He was turning his back sometimes. He was doing a complete 360, and he was giving away his back. That's kind of amateurish. I mean, Manny Pacquiao used to do it sometimes too, but Pacquiao, I mean, he was always in and out, throwing with a lot of power. But, I mean, this guy, yeah, he was giving his back a lot. He was like doing a complete 360, and he was covering the back of his head because he knew that he was doing a full turn when he was punching. So, I mean, that didn't look good. I mean, listen, Karen hit him with some good shots too, and he can't crack. That's why I was saying before, I said, listen, Lipini had stunned him. Some Dominican guy stunned him as well earlier on in his career. And I'm thinking, look, people that thought that Gervonta Ennis, all he has to do is show up and boom, he wins the fights against Spence, against Crawford. Some people were even saying, then again, it was a minority. Let's not get get it twisted here. But some people were saying, 160 against Canelo could beat him. I heard the same thing about Errol Spence, by the way. That's why I was telling people, slow down on the Gervonta Ennis train. Because I heard the same thing about Errol Spence back in 2018 and 2019. He could move up to 160 and beat Canelo. Then he goes life and death with Sean Porter. So let's stay grounded in reality, fellas, here. The guy did have some rust on him. He fought a guy that didn't really want to engage, but at the same time, he showed his deficiencies there. Couldn't cut the ring off, like never sober. And Gonzalez said he would miss and he would turn his back. And he got hit a lot. Now, some people are going to say, yeah, but BDA, this is boxing. You get hit a lot. Yeah, but against a guy like Karen,
And not, like I said, I want to bring back the fact that Lipinets stunned him with a right hand and some other Dominican dude stunned him with a straight right. So if you put him in there against Keith Thurman, I think Keith Thurman gets taken out. I think, Keith Thurman and Dylan White are two guys that you know what you got to do to knock him out or stop or hurt him. With Dylan White, you throw an uppercut, you're going to fucking get him out of there. And with Keith Thurman, body shots. And Gervonta, and say what you want about him. He's got heavy hands. He probably takes Keith Thurman out of there with a body shot. But Keith Thurman can still crack with overhand shots. And he's much better than Karen. And he does that thing where he moves a lot to lull you into sleep. And then before you know it, boom, you're running into a shot. I'm thinking down maybe now Keith Thurman, because I do think Keith Thurman is one of those guys that didn't want to fight Gervonta Ennis. Maybe now he realizes, hey, I can take this young buck out. I can buck break him. Don't forget, fellas, phone lines are open. Call in. The phone lines are the phone number is in the middle left-hand portion of your screen, and it's also pinned. And Butcher just put it on the chat as well. Never Sobers, shout out to Never Sober for his contribution to the super chat. Says PBC fans don't listen unless you rhyme. Real lies. No, real lies. Oh, we've got the Jedi mind tricks up in this podcast. Let me tell you something. Hey, listen, maybe Shadowman can call back and give us a rhyme or something. He's one of the best I've heard on this community. That's for sure. I'm your leader says I agree. I've never been that high on Ennis. Well, we'll see what happens, man. Let's see who they match him up with next and see if he can win us back. Because last night certainly was not the case. Timothy Figueroa says LOL never sobers. Stephen Schneider says throw Ennis in, why not? Eber Steller says Stanionis beats Ennis based on last night. Whoa. Bucho says Thurman can move. Yeah, he can move, man. He still's got the legs. Go ahead, Gonzalo. You were going to say something?
When Hector Luis Garcia, I say Hector Luis Garcia because Ryan Garcia, so just to tell them apart easier. When he said he couldn't see, and he did look kind of blind because he didn't know where his corner was, although he was already there. He wanted to take like a step forward and go to like the other corner. I thought he was gonna do it like, remember the movie Bloodsport, where Jean-Claude Van Damme with that, what's that guy, Bolo Young? He busts out the pail note to he can't see, and he was like, oh! But he ends up stepping out anyways and beats him up blind. I was like, oh, he can't see. Hopefully he continues fighting.
I mean, I would have wanted to see the fight continue. Again, I want to remind people, if anybody's just tuning in for the first time here, you don't stop fights because somebody's getting into it because there's a ruckus in the crowd. No, sorry, Bob. You're supposed to let the fight happen. Unless there's a gunfight, knife fight, or a bomb going off, you don't stop the fight. It was very bizarre that they actually decided. And by the way, who was getting into a fight? I hear he was a rapper taking on one of the Russells or the Russells. It's like, come on, man. You're in the front row of a big fight, or like a big event, I should say. You're getting into it. Have a little class. Gonzalo, is that too much to ask, man? A little class. You remember when people used to wear HBO, they used to wear the tuxedo when it was a HBO pay-per-view? How do we go from that to this?
Yeah, and Showtime is also supposed to be like a real classy with Jimmy Lennon Jr. Yeah, I like the presentation. Showtime kind of reminds me back of like the old school days as well. But it always seems that with Gervonta Davis fights, there's always something going on, like in the stands, outside the ring. So it's dangerous.
That's why people thought I was kidding when I said that if Ryan Garcia fights Tank Davis, and let's say they do it in Atlanta or Detroit or Bmore, bring some bodyguards, man. That's all I'm saying. Bring some bodyguards. Because you just don't know what's going to happen. And same thing with Inoue. If Inoue fights Stephen Fulton in Philadelphia, which, why would it though? I mean, it would do way more money and way more, it would attract a bigger crowd in Japan. But anyway, let's say, just hypothetically, let's say he fights in the US, bodyguards. Lots of them. Get some BlackRock, or what do they call them? Blackwater. Not BlackRock, Blackwater. Get some of those mercenaries there. Get Gonzalo. He's got combat experience. Gonzalo, you know all about sitting at perimeter, situational awareness, all that type of stuff. Gonzalo, you would do it, right? You'd help Inoue and Garcia out?
Yeah, but Inoue and Garcia gotta protect the Chinese ladies, though. That's what we gotta do. The old ladies.
Yes.
From the brothers, you know what I mean?
I mean, hey, listen.
The brothers get ruthless with them.
We're not gonna go.
They're gonna want to stomp on their heads.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. No, but what else, man? What else did we miss? We covered the Andrade fights. We covered the Gervonta Ennis fight, Ellis. Oh, by the way, Lamont Peterson poor guy, man, because this guy always brought it. He always looked like a nice guy. He's not a trash talker. He's just a guy that showed up, always gave it his best. I always remember when he beat Amir Khan, even though I don't think he should have beat him. I don't think he should have gotten the decision, but I loved his body punching. You guys know we're fans of body shots here. And apparently last night he fought some African dude. I think they got him out of a refugee camp or something. I think he had a 50-50 record. .50 record. And he just ended up knocking. He stopped him. Gazelle, did you hear that? Did you see that?
No, I didn't. Lamar Peterson.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it happens to the best of them too. So yeah, just like.
Well, I mean, he was never the best, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, but if it happens to the best, it's gonna happen to him too. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked awful, man. He looked like his legs were gone. He looked like he was. I mean, I don't know, man. It's sad to see when him go like that. But listen, that's the way it goes in boxing. We've seen it time and time again. What else was I gonna say here?
It's like the animal kingdom. No, I mean this guy wasn't the best, but what I mean is, you're gonna get taken out by the up and comer.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Well, this guy wasn't even an up and comer, but I mean, my
yeah,
goodness.
I mean, it was another 50-50, another grimy dude, you know. So yeah.
In regards to some of the other fights here that we've had here, so hopefully, here's the other thing I heard, man. The PBC, they said like, a couple of months ago, somebody released some documents pertaining to the solidification, like that the PBC had actually, what's the word I'm looking for here? Signed to hold a venue or a couple of venues for some potential fights. Now I see on Twitter somebody saying that they left those venues, meaning who knows what's going to happen with those venues and if they're even going to hold any events. So that's why I'm worried. I mean, Bucho last night, he tweeted, sarcastically, well, not sarcastically, but facetiously, he said, look, if you want to see Jaron Ennis fight, watch him now because he's probably not going to fight the rest of the year. I don't know if that's a joke, man. I could definitely see that happen because what's the PBC going to do now? They need pay-per-view cards. Showtime's out of the way. And by the way, that's the other thing. Like we mentioned on the last show, I asked Jimmy this. Jake Paul now, he's moving away from Showtime. That's the only thing. Oh, speak of the devil, we got Jimmy jumping in. Jimmy, are you there?
Yeah, speaking of the devil.
Well, are you guys talking about Satan again?
No. I was talking about how, because there's documents that were showing that supposedly the PBC left some of the venues that they'd reserved, and now they let him go, apparently. But Jimmy, now that you're here, man, let's recap, man. What did you think of the last night's fight between Tank Davis and Hector Luis Garcia?
Well, there's a couple of guarantees at Gervonta Davis fights. Corrupt judges.
Oh.
Because that kid Hector Garcia wasn't leaving that fucking fight with the win unless he stopped him. Do you know the judges at the scorecards? All of them only gave Garcia 1 round.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's insane. That's insane. Even if, I mean, I'm watching, I was being as, non-biased as possible, if I'm going to actually try to score a fight, right? And I think I had it 4-3 Garcia at the stoppage. I gave, I thought it was being real fair. When I ever saw 6-1, I'm like, how do you do that? What did Davis throw 15 punches in the first round? It just goes to show you that he's the house fighter. He wasn't leaving without that fucking win. And I don't know, man. For a dude who couldn't see Garcia, he gets hit. Oh, his eye bothered him so bad that he couldn't see that he quit in his corner. And then, he's doing an interview a few minutes later. Oh, I'm fine. It was just done. Really? Like, dude. Inoue fought with a broken eye socket, was seeing double. He explained in an interview I just read recently what he did was he was closing the eye when he would have to step in the punch right before he jumped in. He kind of closed that eye so he could focus. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, maybe because I've seen people that I care about go through fucking wars for pennies on the dollar to see this dude just fucking throw it in because he took a hard shot. I don't know. Did you think that fucking stop was suspect? Not suspect that, like, it was paid to quit, but I just thought he threw in the fucking towel very easily.
Well, me, man. I need to see. Yeah, you know us. We need to see the evidence. You know us. We need to see more evidence to come to a determination like that. But I will say this, Jimmy. Since when do they stop fights when there's a little ruckus in the crowd?
No, that was fucking crazy. Never. Unless it's involved like the fan man who flies into the ring. Oh, but that was my set. I said 2 guarantees, and the second one was violence at one of his fights. This is a constant thing. I mean, it just is. Dude, people were shot outside. 3 people were shot outside his, the first time he fought in Atlanta. There was shooting at Barclays. I know a bunch of people try to say it didn't happen, but it absolutely happened. There was gunfire there to the point where 11 people were sent to the hospital because of the stampede sent people through the glass. Now there's a big fucking brawl between Gary Russell Jr. and Meek Miles, whatever, the rapper, over the, who's going to win the fight. It's just like, so, yeah, and for them to stop the fight, no, that's nuts. And especially, if I can remember correctly, wasn't it right after Garcia had his best... There was his best spree. That's why I'm remembering. I was falling asleep, to be honest with you, through that whole fucking thing. I mean, Boots Ennis, man, he better fucking. Wow, that didn't. He didn't walk away looking good in that fight, man. You couldn't cut that ring off on that dude. I saw some dents. We were always questioning his chin, but yeah, he didn't know how to cut the ring off. He didn't make any adjustments.
But Jimmy, that's why people need to slow down when they see, because what do we always, how many prospects have we seen coming up that look good and they knock guys out, blah, 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 and people lose their shit over them, and then you go, well, wait a minute, put him in there against a guy that can take his punch, put him in there against a guy with good footwork, put him in there against a guy that's going to fight back and who can crack as well, and then we'll see what this guy's made of, right? And because there were people that were saying that all Gervonta Ennis has to do to beat Crawford and Spence and Ortiz and Stanionis, all he has to do is show up. That's what some people believed. And boy, were they wrong, man. He needs to work on a lot of shit. A lot.
Yeah, I was, well, I mean, again, when you get fed nothing but soft competition that you're meant to beat up on, you develop bad habits. And you just, you're not made to fight. And the guys, like, understand that, like Golden Boy understands that. Why his guys aren't always match tough, but he does match them tougher than the PBC guys, and this is what we see over and over again. Yeah, no, I was blown away actually by how disappointed I was in Boots. Boots should have been able to hunt that kid down and take him out. I mean, there was so many things he could have done to prevent what that kid was doing, and he just didn't. I don't know. It wasn't a very exciting fight. And the kid from Massachusetts, Rashidi Ellis, wow, all the shit you talk. I mean, there's listen. He fled. Remember, it was the free. There was that hashtag free Rashidi, and then free Ellis and all that because Golden Boy put him on a show supposedly. Because how the story goes, he turned down an Ortiz fight, and that pissed off Golden Boy. Like, okay, you're a welterweight. We got a welterweight. Let's do it. And he wanted ridiculous money. And to prove that, he just came out with a statement, his people, that in order to fight, I guess they offered up a fight between him and Ennis, but he wanted double what they were asking. And my thing is this, like, dude, you're from fucking Massachusetts, dude. You're not a household name in your own household. Nobody knows who the fuck you are. Who are you to be demanding half the fucking money? So that tells you right there that you're not confident in your ability. Because somebody confident in their ability, like, yeah, give me that fight, because I'll beat him, and he's the one with all the noise around his name, and then I'll have all the noise, and then I'll get those big paychecks. You know what I mean? It's like building towards a future. But everybody's like trying to treat this game like it's a going out of business sale, trying to get as much as they can on everything. So I totally believe, and I know he did an interview, Ellis, where he said he was asked about, turning down what Oscar is saying, that you turned down a fight to fight Ortiz. And in his kind of vague, he goes, I don't remember that. You don't remember that? No. Such bullshit. He absolutely turned it down. I totally believe that. Oscar's not the type. I mean, I've never seen him as a proven, like, lying on a fighter before. Like, why come out and say that? So now we know why he's turning down those fights. We saw he got exposed. He doesn't have the power to keep that kid off him or whatever. And so, yeah, disappointing all around, I'd say, because if that kid made all 12, I personally would have thought he could have beat him. But like I said, though, I had Davis winning by knockout because of that, because of the fact that they were dragging a kid up Not just if he was a lifetime 130 pounder, okay, you're dragging him up one weight class sooner than he was. He went up there for the money because he just went to 130. He's a career 126 pounder. And to have him fight one of the heaviest punches at 135 his first time out was just stupid. But, that was what his people picked for him. And I don't know, man. Just all around,
how many times
man.
do we need to see him lose rounds and be behind the fight like he did against Santa Cruz, to a certain extent against Barrios, against Isaac Cruz, against Rolly Romero? He's losing the fight and he bails himself out with a... Well, actually, he couldn't bail himself out against Isaac Cruz. That's why that fight was extremely close, went down to the wire. And here again, and that's why, Jimmy, that's why I brought up the Haymanites graphic where he put why all the times Mayweather said, no, we're not going to fight Lomachenko, we're not going to fight Lomachenko. Now we know why. Look at what happened when he fought a smaller southpaw who's quick, but, not as fast as Lomachenko, and he was giving Tank Davis a business. Despite
you mean the rising superstar, and then how they advertised it?
Rising superstar.
That's how they on the Showtime on the ad I saw on television. Yeah, the rising superstar Garcia, dude. He stopped fucking. He exposed Chris Colbert as a slick kid with nothing on his punches. Mm-hmm. So he was able to go in there and fucking expose him on that. So. Really, that's all. That was his claim to fame. Really, you know what I mean? There's a reason there was no hype around that kid because there's a heart issue there. I'm telling you right now, there's a heart issue. I'm not saying he tanked the fight or it was because he paid to leave. I'm just questioning his heart. He's in the wrong fucking game. You don't fucking throw your towel and you don't quit in the corner because, oh man, that punch really hurt me. That punch made me see stars. I better quit because I don't want to get my trunks dirty. Like, what the fuck you doing, dude? You don't want to get knocked down. It's just, yeah.
Well, listen. I mean, that's why we said, are you willing to pay $80 for the main event, which is a featherweight against a big puncher, and a bunch of other guys that are just going to get the rust off? That's why, listen, like, Jimmy, that's why I told people in the beginning of the podcast, look, the reason why we shit on the pay-per-view, it's not because we want to, it's not because we hate the PBC and we're just looking for things to criticize. They're the ones giving them to us. And this was just another card that's indicative. And by the way, I also blame, because again, Gervonta Ennis, I think he would have looked bad regardless of the layoff. But it couldn't have helped him last night, fighting 4 minutes in 2022. So again, blame has to go to the PBC for the shit card and for having a bunch of guys with rust. And this was just essentially a rust off. He was a rust off. It was a card to get the rust off. By the way, Jimmy, also the guy from your neck of the woods, Demetrius Andrade. Did you watch that one?
No, I didn't see the Andrade fight.
Good for you, man. Yeah, you didn't miss much. It was another classic fight
boring.
where Demond Nicholson is not good enough to catch Andrade consistently, but he's good enough that if he goes on the defensive, Andrade can't do much. And that's what happened. The few times where Nicholson did try to put it on him, he was just lunging in with right hands, not setting them up with anything. And he got dropped twice. He also dropped Andrade, but they didn't count it. And Andrade was just content with stepping back and flashing a couple of combos here and there and just won a fight. Now, again, I blame Nicholson for that, Jimmy, because he didn't have the wherewithal to actually make something happen. And I also blame, the rust. Because, listen, Andrade, he only fought... Actually, he didn't fight at all in 2022, so he had to shake the rust off. So I'll give him some slack there. But still, I mean, we know he can beat guys like Gonzalo said. We know he can beat guys like Demond Nicholson. But when you put him in against guys like Kolke and Martirosyan and Liam Walsh, or Williams, whatever his name was, he clinches and runs his way to a decision. So you didn't miss much there, Jimmy. You didn't miss much at all.
Well, there's the reason HBO blasted him after 2. They signed him for a 3-fight deal, and he couldn't even make it happen. You know what I mean? He got bounced out because of his performances. He just doesn't want to, put it on these guys and try to, make the fight exciting. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that dude Andrade fought was like what was he? What was his ranking? It was real high, like 59th or something. It was some crazy thing.
I will say this though. I will say this: Demetrius Andrade does hit harder than people give him credit for, but it's just he's not willing to. Because look, like I told Gonzalo, when you get a guy like Nicholson who's clearly intimidated by your hand speed and your counter shots, okay, try to walk him down a little bit. I'm not saying walk in there and try to, swing for the fences like Ennis was doing. But try to, work the body a little bit, get on the inside. No, he's content to just step back and make it boring. The people, I saw the crowd, most of them were on their phones. They weren't watching that shit. They couldn't give a crap about it.
It was 59th ranked out of the 1,394 registered professional welterweights. He's 59th ranked, so it's 58 fighters, ranked better than him. So if you're world class, if you're the guy who's Canelo's ducking, you're taking that dude out, and you're taking him out in fashion. You know what I mean? Like you're making a statement. You take out the trash. You don't go the distance with them. You don't get put on your ass like you said, and they didn't call it. So, and it wasn't the first time he got put on his ass by Monterosian too. Listen, again, coming out of the images, I was high on him because he was a local kid, the same was with Rashidi Ellis. But then he just went stagnant, and then he wasn't fighting anyone. And then when he ever ran to the PBC, that's when I just come on like, okay, now I know you're all about, you're looking for the protected fucking wins. And it came back to bite him last night because he lost that fight. And, and like I said, Boots is still he's got great hands. He's got fast hands. He's accurate. But, wow, you can tell and again, that, like you said, man, the fighting 4 minutes last year does not help. It just doesn't get you. It's inactivity, ring rust. That's like that's one in most contracts, most fighters back in the day. If you sign with a promoter, one of the good things about it, you were guaranteed dates. Because if you're an independent guy and you're trying to get like dates, you're calling promoters, you're looking for anybody, here's my name, you're looking for an opponent, you're always fighting to get action. But when you sign with a promoter, that's the big thing is now you get somebody to help you off, set the costs, and on top of that, get you guaranteed dates. And the reason why everybody wants that, because of ring rust. It's a big deal. I mean, in any sport, you got to practice your balls off. You're not practicing, you look like shit. And
exactly.
And when it fights, you can't reproduce a fucking fight. You can work on some stuff where you're sparring and shit, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And I'll tell you right now, nobody come out of that Boots fight, and I've looked all around, I've checked all the different media and different content contributors. Nobody was impressed with Boots' performance. Nobody left that thinking he was better than he is, or like, he's still that fucking fair dude. If I was Virgil Ortiz, I wouldn't be hesitating to fight that guy.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't understand why. This type of stuff continues to go on like this. And let me tell you something too as well. Oh, by the way, actually, before I ask you guys a question, J Rod in the chat says, shout out to him for his contribution to the super chat. His Tank's experience beats Ryan Barrios was way bigger. All right, so he's going by size and experience. Shout out to J Rod for his contribution. I asked you guys before the fight on Tuesday, I believe. I said, hey guys, how many pay-per-view buys do you think this does? Gonzalo, I wanted to ask you first. They always talked in the preview for the Tank Davis fight. They talked about the celebrities. The celebrities all show up for Tank Davis. There was only one celebrity there, was Meek Mill. Even I don't know who he is. I think it's more the younger generation. Did you see any celebrities that I might have missed? And if whether you did or not, how many pay-per-view buys do you think this actually does? Again, just reiterating the question I posed on Tuesday.
I said 150,000. I don't know too much about that stuff. I'm just guessing. I'm a pretty good guesser, I guess. So I would just have to say 150,000. It had 19,000 in the stadium. 19,000 people showed up to see the fight. It sold out. So I'm just going to say 150.
150, all right. Jimmy, did you see any other celebrities there?
No, I did not, and I didn't see them announce it. That's something you usually always do. Put the camera on them and announce them if it was an A-level celebrity. But of course they're not going to show up because there's a constant theme: violence. Oh. And that was a violence right in the bowl too. That wasn't way up in the nosebleeds because a couple of drunken hillbillies decided throwing punches at each other.
Exactly.
That was down in the bowl. You know what I mean? That was the expensive seats where somebody with money would bring their wife. Like, who the fuck would want to be around that fucking chaos? You know what I mean? Classless chaos.
That's
how about fucking treating yourself like adults?
That's why I said before, man. I'd said it, and people thought I was joking. That I said if Ryan Garcia fights Tank Davis in Baltimore, or if he fights him in Washington, or if he fights him in Detroit, or if he fights him in Atlanta, bodyguards, get the Blackwater people to help you out. Get some mercenaries to surround you, because I mean, you're walking into Iraq at that point. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, so there's been shootings at least 2 of his fights. 3 people shot at 1. So I mean, and then his fights galore. In his last fight out, there was a bunch of fights too. Well, but now to the pay-per-view numbers. Isaac Cruz did 57,000. Yes, it was on a Sunday. Yes, it was up against some professional games and college bowl games. I think I can't remember, but it was on a Sunday night, and it did terrible numbers. So, and he's a draw at the gate, but it's important where it is. If that fight was held in Las Vegas, it doesn't sell out. If it was held in Barclays, it doesn't sell out. Washington, that's Baltimore's backyard. Baltimore's right there. In Washington, D.C., there's a heavy black population, and that's who they're targeted his fan base to. And he's very popular amongst black Americans. And rightfully so. He's he can bring it. He makes exciting fights because he does usually stop people. That wasn't an exciting ending last night, but yeah, I mean, even if I was, which I once was, a big fan of Gervonta, or whatever the pronunciation of his name is, I wouldn't be happy with that bullshit fucking scoring. I'm like, man, why are you trying to give it to him? I mean, am I wrong? Did I score that wrong? Did either one of you guys score that fight 6 rounds to 1 at the time of stoppage?
No, man. I mean, I thought at worst for Hector Garcia, it was an even fight. At worst. But I thought he was beating Tank Davis, man. And Tank Davis, again, Jimmy, what do we always talk about in this podcast? Tank Davis, the punch output. Even the commentators last night were starting to mention the fact that this guy thinks he's Canelo and Deontay Wilder. And to a certain extent, he is, because he can take these guys out with one shot after falling behind. But again, what happens when he steps up in competition and he can't knock these guys out? What's he going to do? Can he step it up and throw more than just 30 shots per round? I don't know.
He went life and death with Cruz, too, who's a tough kid, but singularly fucking one-dimensional. You know what I mean? Like, everything's the same thing, coming in the same direction at the same speed. And he went life and death with that kid. And that's why he doesn't want that rematch. That's why they're literally putting that off as his big rematch. That's going to be the next pay-per-view. They'll match up Cruz again with another soft touch, because he turned down the Garcia fight, Cruz. And I know somebody in the chat said that about he beats Garcia because Marios is bigger. Marios don't punch nowhere near as hard as Garcia or as fast. Not even in the same fucking neighborhood. Barrios, remember, his claim to fame was he got a robbery to get placed in a position to fight Tank. He got his ass beat by that Uzbekistanian kid and got a robbery decision just to get placed at, to be fed to Gervonta. And what has he done since? Got knocked out by him, then went up to 147, got beat up by Thurman. I mean, so whereas Garcia can crack, although I'm not a big fan of Garcia, especially some of the shit he says regarding the belts and shit. It's like, what are you just trying to, I don't have to fight the best because I'm popular. The Tank fuck Davis, out of here. And
Tank Davis, what's that? Tank Davis evidently is concerned because he's saying now, like, oh, this guy looks big. He looks like he's on roids. Like, I don't know. I think he sounds kind of intimidated to me there, Jimmy. So it's a 50-50 fight, man.
Garcia hits hard. Yeah, Garcia hits hard. He's just, I don't know how Goosen, I mean, listen, you can tell Garcia's a smart kid. You know what I mean? If you just listen to him talk and stuff, he's intelligent enough where if he's focused, Goosen knows what the fuck he's talking about. He really does. And he knows better than me what Garcia's, leaving his chin up on a platter like that is his biggest problem against someone like Gervonta. But, so I'm curious to see his next fight. But if it's going to be against Tank, which I find it hard to believe. And on top of that, why would you, are you going to go into the fucking den? Are you going to go into the PBC and allow them to pick the judges? And, they've already shown they're not going to allow Tank to lose on the scorecards.
That's right.
That was quite evident last night. So, I mean, it would have to, I don't know how they're going to run that. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm still dubious on whether or not that fight even takes place. I'm still really I mean, it's a done deal because somebody tweeted about it. You know what I mean? It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, people need to start getting serious about this stuff, man. Stop living in La La Land and start. Hey, listen, the BDA gospel, it will open your eyes. That's all I'm saying. Let's go back to the phone lines here, fellas. And don't forget to hit the like. Spread the BDA gospel. Let's go to 773. 773, you're on the air. 773, what's on your mind?
Hey, it's Chris, playing good, street white guy. Come on, stroking a large cock. 8-cut thick, big extreme handle, hanging ball back. Stroking back. My buddies with big cocks, cockheads, play around, masturbate. Let me know. Thank you. Hey, what's up? Hey, man, it's Chris. 20 guy. 8-cut, big head, no hangers. Just stroking. Want to talk to another buddy, man. Let me know.
Man, if you're going to do prank calls, you got to do the prank call yourself, man. You can't fucking use a soundboard. Because then the soundboard's just lame. You gotta scramble for it. I've tried it myself, man. It ain't that good, man. I
don't understand a fucking word what was said.
I understood the word cock, but then, I mean, that's just by itself, cock's not funny, man. Listen, I'm not gonna teach you comedy. What am I here for? You gotta pay me if you want me to instruct you. Let's go to 330. 330, you're on the air. 330, what's on your mind?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. What's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? This is Will, the degenerate boxing fan. So, here's the thing that bugs me on a Sunday morning. You have a card that goes on till past 1 o'clock in the morning. You got 3 big name fighters, 2 of which went the distance, and then you got Tank Davis with this questionable stoppage. See, here's one thing I love and hate about the boxing business. There's no such thing as bad news. Because of this controversial decision this weekend, it just adds to the drama with Ryan Garcia. So, regardless of how last night went, I see that fight doing major numbers, and they would be a fool if they don't put that on them. Last night was really weird and everything, but I honestly believe that it's going to add to the drama when that fight gets announced, if it actually does happen. But overall, it's a horrible start to American boxing, man. This is one of the first cards of the year, and it's not a good fucking thing, in my opinion.
Certainly not worth $80, man, that's for sure.
What's up?
Certainly not worth $80.
Couldn't hear you. No, not at all. This is the kind of quality that you're giving us for $80. No thanks, man. But no, I just wanted to call in, give you guys my opinion real quick. Hope you guys have a good Sunday.
You too, man. Thank you for your call, man. Nice and concise. I like it. Love it. All right, take it easy, man.
Good call.
Yeah, good call, man. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, again, you got to put it into perspective. If that fight would have been on Showtime, regular Showtime, ESPN, The Zone, whatever, I wouldn't have been the happiest with the fights, but I was saying, okay, at least I didn't have to shell out $80. This was $80. And I know people are going to say, why, is $80 too much for you? Well, listen, I'm smart with my money. I don't just throw money around for shit just because I have something to prove to people. Hey, look at all the money I have. That's stupid. That's dumbass behavior. That's the type of behavior you see from people at Tank Davis fights in the front row when they're getting into fights at a classy event. Really class it up that way. Nah, man. I don't go to a shit restaurant and shell out money just for that and say, oh, look at all the money I have. Disgusting. Jimmy, what's wrong with this fucking pay-per-view landscape we're living in, man? Come on.
Yeah, that's the whole, $80 a lot of money. No, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy $80. And yesterday I sent $1,500 for homes to, it's $11 a month, to help veterans. They get homes, people who have been injured or blown up in the war. You see the commercials all over the place. The guy does.
Why would you do that?
Tower. It's towers for Heroes, something about the towers thing, because it's between that and the an animal organization, because my wife had a good year and she was like, I'm doing it, so you pick them. So she gave me $1,500 to send to charities. So I gave half to the animals and half to the tunnels for towers. That's what it's called, where they build homes for wounded veterans.
We don't promote charities here, Jimmy. We don't promote charities.
Well, I'm just saying. I think, they fucking treat veterans like shit. But anyway, my point being, I know that, dude. But my point is, it ain't the $80. I'm not giving $80 because, all right, I'll give you the shirt off my back, but I'm not going to let you take it. And you're not going to fucking put together some shit event against questionable, competition, at best questionable. I mean, rising superstar Hector Garcia, talented kid, but it's never done anything to show that he's the type of dude who can go up 2 weight classes and beat a heavy puncher. And we saw it last night. He can't. And everything else before that fight, there was nothing to write home about. And I didn't even watch the Andrade fight. I can't be bothered watching his fights. Because I knew I was tired. I didn't want to miss I knew I'd fall asleep.
Exactly, man. That's well said, Jimmy. I'll give you my pants and underwear. I'm not going to let you take it. Now, how I get home, that's my business. But you ain't taking my fucking pants and underwear. That's for sure. That's a great way of putting it, man. That's Jimmy said it, not me. What else? Because Butch was saying exactly. See, that's the way you do them, man. It's the pay-per-view thing. I don't know if they're going to be able to survive, though. Sure. But anyway, we've been over that, the PBC. Listen, at the end of the day, we've been on here for 2 hours. Anything else you guys want to mention that we might have not covered?
Yeah, I just, again, say that it's, the PBC is just, I don't see how it's, I mean, like you said, you dropped dates or left some dates at Barclays. Fox is completely out. I don't see anything coming up on Fox. Showtime hasn't listed any of their up-and-coming fights. So they're still up in the air. I just don't know where he goes from here. He's going to have to end up on an app. It's just a question of what app is he going to end up on. But that's definitely what's going to happen if he wants to keep the PBC together as the same unit, or does he just sell contracts? I don't know. But this just can't continue. We just can't have. I mean, let's be honest. Boots isn't going to fight anybody outside the PBC. They're not going to take on Virgil Ortiz or anybody over Top Rank. And all the other groups do mention, not all the time, but they are willing to cross the street. The zone fighters or matchroom fighters will fight Top Rank fighters. Golden Boy will fight Top Rank fighters, and vice versa. But PBC is the only one, unless it's a mandatory situation. And even then, you saw what happened with Sean Porter. When he was mandated to fight Crawford, he said, yeah, I definitely want that fight. And Heyman was so against it, he wanted nothing to do with it. Didn't do a purse bid, wanted nothing to do with it. The name PBC wasn't anywhere on that card. Left him out to dry. Although then he's still, mouthing the fucking company line because he had tweeted out at the end of 4 rounds, 4-0 Davis. So I was like, wow, okay, man, you're still fucking carrying the PBC water. But disappointed in Boots. Disappointed in that he couldn't hunt them down and make adjustments. Going forward, he's going to start fighting more often because, again, ring rust and bad competition dulls your skills. It doesn't make it better. And you can spar fucking all year long. It doesn't mean shit. It'll just keep you wired up and shit, but it's not going to get you to punch calluses and just all the other stuff that goes along. Just the nerves going in there in front of a large crowd. When you're fighting in the gym, sparring in the gym with 2 or 3 of your buddies in the ring, like some guy over fucking punching a heavy bag, is a big difference than 19,000 screaming people, your family, friends, people you grew up with, everybody watching. So it's a whole different mindset. There's a bunch of guys who can actually even perform well practicing, but in big games, they choke. I've known people like that, great practice players in hockey, but just in a game, they could never duplicate it. So I'm just getting really disappointed. Again, if it wasn't for this show and you guys that I met through it and the people who call and stuff and some decent people, and I enjoy this aspect of it, if it wasn't for this, I'd probably already tune most of this shit out. I wouldn't even be fucking with the sport anymore because it's an insult. It's an insult. It's an insult to the sport. The way it's being run right now, it's an insult to the sport. It's an insult to the fighters before you who fucking fought for peanuts on the dollar. You know what I mean? Just to get their name. It's just disrespectful. And it's a joke. It's turned into a circus. And then when you give scorecards like that, I don't know why Garcia is doing backflips trying to jump in there with him. Like, I would say, okay, but it's going to be on neutral ground. It's not going to be in Washington, D.C. or Baltimore. It's going to be in Vegas. I think it would do big numbers because, the Mexican-American, aspect always tends to pump the pay-per-view numbers. And we'll see. We'll see. He's Garcia said April 15th. What's that?
Butcher says it's an insult to veterans. That's what it is, man.
It is.
This sport is turning satanic. And dare I say it, I'm saying it's satanic, anti-Christian. You mentioned the Showtime thing there. One of the only cards I see is a Showbox card, and then I see Ray Vargas taking Osheki Foster, and then they got Subriel Matias versus Jeremiah Ponce, who I think is an Argentinian guy, and that's all they've got there so far, penned for the rest of the year.
You notice one huge thing? No big names. You know what no big names means? No big money. What do you think they're paying for those cards? No, seriously, what do you think for the Ponce? What do you think they're paying him? A Cino, a fucking 100 G's, 100K? Because that's telling you that Showtime is on such a tight budget right now because they're fighting for their existence to stay as a cable platform. They don't want to get swapped in. If they get pulled into under the Paramount app, that's going to be hard. Espinosa's out. You know what I mean? He knows he's losing his job. So the days of him throwing $10 million at Deontay Wilder to fight the fucking 32nd ranked guy in the world, those days are gone at Showtime. So, and the thing is, I guarantee you would hear all kinds of rumblings from the PBC, stable of fighters, but because of their contracts, their non-disparagement clauses in their contracts, anything negative or can be considered negative about Al Heyman or the product, which is the PBC, you can be sued. And who knows how it's written up in the contract? Does he keep some of the money because your money that he holds on to, because that's the thing he does. Broner's come straight out and said it, that, give me some of my money. We only get a third after the fight, and then I'm sure he sets it up so he tells them how this is the way you don't have to get whaled in penalty and taxes, but he still holds on to all that money, and I doubt it's just in his safe. Sure, it's investments, probably even uses to buy the tickets that he scalps. It's just, so I love the sport. I love the sport of boxing, but it's a shell of itself, and I just don't see it getting better. I really don't. Well, listen, and there's good, talented kids, and it's a shame because it's bigger worldwide. But what's that, BDA?
At least with Ray Vargas, we've get some ass. I'm talking aggressive slick style, and not the Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson ass style, which is American slick style, which is boring. At least with Ray Vargas, you're gonna get a bit of a show combined with boxing skills and the sweet science. That's what it's all about. Let's go to a phone line here.
But speaking of slick, and just Shakur Stevenson would fucking box Davis's ears off his head. Box his ears off his head. He wouldn't fucking. I'd be surprised if he lands a shot on. Well,
hold on, we got 386 on the line. Almost done here. 386, you're on the air. What's up, man?
Is this some asshole from Florida?
Oh, well, this is Jackson, apparently. Jackson, what's up, man?
Jackson!
I was just looking at my trophy case, and, like in Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin. Fucking, it's a world-class hockey player at one point, but, things happen.
Hey, listen,
how's everybody doing, man? BDA, this guy is excellent. When he was out of the industry, Jimmy, how you doing? When's Mickey going to be on the show, Jim?
I never even. I just honestly, maybe if I had him on, I wouldn't even want to be on.
Hagler.
Yes, I'd feel weird. I'd rather have him just talk to those guys.
Where the fuck where's Pistol Pete?
I saw Pete last night over What Rapids on the chat, but I haven't seen him today.
Probably fucking slamming some college,
Hey, wait a minute, he's a married man. What are you doing, man?
Landed some trophy marlins off the back of his boat.
Pete.
But what's up, Jackson? What'd you think of the fights last night, man?
Yeah, I didn't even watch it, yeah.
Jeez, Luis.
Yeah, I only watch boxing for this show because I'm a part of the movement. We broke into the BDA capital and we started a insurrection. And
wait a minute.
We're all part of the movement now. And we broke the law.
Wait a minute. No, we didn't. No, wait. Listen, the way you say words like that, you're gonna get us in trouble here.
You have to admit it. BDA, you have to admit this because I was a big fan of the boys, Thunderdome, the boys, but you have to admit this, and we can get past this. 100%. Where's Jed Kyle at? That's my dude. I'm about to go surfing in West Australia. I need Jed. Where's Jed Kyle?
I don't know, man. You're not making a whole lot of sense today, man. You're starting to creep me out a little bit, but you didn't see the fights. Hey, listen, good for you.
I'm creeping you out. It's fucking your show, bro.
I'm glad you didn't pay for the fights, man. I'm glad you didn't pay for the fights, man, because you didn't miss much. It was just it was a rust off. It was just a card to get the rust off for these guys, man.
Okay, fair enough. Let me say who's pound for pound. Usyk, we got the heavy boys, and we have the who fought? I feel like a dumbass. Just tell me who fought.
Demetrius Andrade with the American slick style, which
No,
stands for
fuck.
ass.
Yeah, I don't care.
He's got the ass style.
Yeah,
Then we had Rashidi Ellis, another guy with an ass style. He got exposed. He lost in an
Rasheed
upset.
Wallace? I thought he was a basketball player. Fucking Wallace.
Well, I mean, listen,
No, but yeah, we didn't miss much.
No.
Hold on, BD. It's my show. All right, you stand down. This is fantastic because Tank Davis is a great guy. Leave your girlfriend with him. We'll take good care.
Oh, come on. Now, wait a minute.
I don't want to take too much of the show. I love BDA. These are good people. Bucho's awesome. God bless you guys. Seriously, God bless. Huge Christian. Love you, BDA.
Exactly, yeah. All right, take it easy, Jackson. Thank you for your comment. Surf's up, baby. Surf's up.
Fucking right.
All right, man. Nice. 3:32. He's already hammered. But listen, shout out to Jackson for his call. And yeah, man, listen, I'm glad he didn't buy the pay-per-view, man. Because if he would have spent $80, he would have been beating his head over and saying, "Man, why did I spend $80 on that?" But hey, listen, we have to watch it because we have to talk about it, and we got to make something out of what happened last night. And I think we did. I think we did a nice little job here, nice little package for everybody. With that being said, we do have to go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 'cause you've been on for a while. That's right. I got on after the fact, but yeah. So you're saying there was no dates for Plant against Benavidez, right? There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Because they said that's a done deal. Why wouldn't that be on their schedule? So that tells you it's not a done deal.
We're probably gonna be seeing an announcement real soon if they are serious about it. But listen, we're already January the 8th. They've been Plant fought in November? No, October, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the Wilder card. Benavidez hasn't fought since the summer, I believe, 2022. So you would have thought that they would have at least announced it already. Or even in December, maybe November, December. But the fact that we're still in 2023 here, I mean, we're already into 2023 and they haven't even said a peep about it. It's I'm a little hesitant here. I'm a little dubious.
Yeah, so it's first week of January. There's probably a good chance we're not going to see Boots again for the rest of the year.
Oh,
so that means 4 minutes in 2022. A dubious performance against a guy who obviously was trying to survive. But when you're that good, when you're talked about that good, and again, I say his skills are good. I've never said he'd go out and he'd beat everybody, but I think he's last night's performance left a bit to desire. I wasn't too impressed with that. So we'll see going forward, but let's cross our fingers.
If he doesn't fight for the rest of the year, at least he got 12 rounds this year. Unlike last year, it was just fucking 4 minutes, man.
Now, what was that for? Was that for, or what did Espinoza say that was for, to get, it was another,
it was an IBF,
whatever,
I think.
To put him in running for the, yeah.
Wasn't it for the IBF?
You know, it's funny. They choose to go the IBF route, which is a belt that Spence holds. Clearly, obviously, he's with the PBC. But then he's running his mouth about Crawford, about fighting Crawford, or like, how come I wasn't asked? Notice I wasn't asked, for a Crawford fight. But why would you, dude? That's not the way you're moving. You're moving like you're going after Spence. You're making moves that says you're going after Spence. And why does that be Crawford? Did you reach out? Did you go to Crawford's people, whoever they are? I don't even know who you call. Right. Probably at this point, probably just as Jim, but also, did you see that tweet about Probellum? About Teofimo Lopez? Remember, not last show. I said it last show, but the show before I mentioned put the brakes on the Lopez Prograis fight because he's with Pro Bellum. Remember I said that I don't think, Bob wants to. Tio came right out and tweeted that yesterday saying about he's with a guy who's with a suspected, with that route in his tweet. Basically threw cold water on it for the same reasons I was saying. So it kind of confirms what I heard. And I think, I think Steve said it on the show. He thinks that's one of the reasons Bob is hesitant to make those fights with that company. And again, Bob would know if there's anything in the U.S. government looking into that Canahan dude, Bob will get the word. So, that sucks. There's another, and Pro Bellum's got a bunch of guys, so there's another island onto itself that nobody's really going to reach across and make fights.
All that talking from Teofimo Lopez about how he wanted Regis Prograis' ass. That's his quote. That's what I'm quoting here. He said, we want that ass. Now all of a sudden, we can't fight him because he's associated with what does ESPN have Shakur Stevenson, who's associated with a guy who's got dirt on him? And you guys know who I'm talking about. I can't mention his name here because, again, apparently his clout goes far. But, come on, man. Skip it a buck.
That's legit, too.
Yeah.
JP, that's legit, too.
That's right.
he is a fucking dangerous dude, knows dangerous people.
Well, listen. This year, it just got started, and we like I said, it wasn't the worst card, but it was pay-per-view, so that's what makes it hard to swallow. But other than that, we'll see what happens. Like Gonzalo always says, what does Gonzalo say? Smooth is fast, fast is smooth. Is that what you say, Gonzalo? How does it go?
No, it's slow is smooth, and smooth is fast.
There you go. That's how we gotta go through the year, man. We gotta take it easy. We gotta float like water. Sting, what was it? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's what I always say. Anyway, listen, fellas, we do got to move on. But guys, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it. It was a fantastic show. Shout out to everybody that called in. Everybody donated the super chat. Hold on a second. We got one last call here. We got to make it quick because the phone lines are about to close. 323, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on? Don Madrazos here. I didn't really see for the pay-per-view, of course, because I thought it was horrible. But I heard that Rashida Ellis got dropped a couple of times, and I just hopped on the show. I'm sure you guys covered all this shit already, but I just wanted to say what's up to you guys. And also, somewhere in my mind, I was hoping that, we could say that Jimmy could eat his words, because it was going to be an outstanding upset or a great pay-per-view, but no, it looked like it wasn't. I saw some of the reaction videos, and it looked pretty much as expected, except for the undercard stuff, which was Ennis struggling with the C-level fighter, and Andrade getting dropped by a C-level fighter. So I guess those two things were a bit of a shock.
Hey, brother, let me ask you: is that one of your goals?
I'll rewind and listen to the rest of the show, but I just wanted to call and say what's up, you guys. Have a good weekend.
Hey,
all right.
But I wanted to ask: is that one of his goals? Is to watch me eat my words? Like, what did I offend him that much?
Caller, you still there? No, he hung up. Why did he say? He said he wanted to see you eat your words about what?
I don't know. He just goes, I was hoping to see Jimmy eat his words. I'm like, I didn't remember having an issue.
I think he was kidding around, but I missed exactly.
No, I know. That's why I was saying it in a joking tone. But yeah, no,
I don't know.
It's no. I can't. I don't know anybody who spent $80 on that last night who would be happy with the outcome, with any part of that. Even if you're a Davis fan, that wasn't an exciting ending. And again, if you're an honest boxing fan, see, it's easy for me not to fall in love and just get over guys. Like, I've heard people say, well, Jimmy was a big Triple G fan. And they just wrote him off like, he should retire. Because when you've been, watching it for decades, man, it's like you don't get hopped on these fucking dudes. They're just athletes. There'll be more coming. You know what I mean? So, anyways.
He said he was kidding. He said he was kidding. He was talking about he wanted the card to be good so that you could eat your words. And see how you see the PBC is good. But no,
I assumed he was joking. I assumed he was busting balls. I was just fucking.
I don't know, but you started to get a little hostile there. Like the old Jimmy from the neighborhood was coming out.
It's Italian.
Yeah,
little Guinea in me, man. We're not fucking bright people.
All right, man. Shout out to Mr. Calderon. I don't know if that's Jonathan Calderon, my old friend, New York Detective 12th Precinct. He says, traditionally, the worst movies are in January. Maybe boxing is the same. LOL. If this is the worst pay-per-view of the year, I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's true, eh? Yeah, that the bad movies, the horrible movies, always get released on January. And but no, I mean, last year we had that Macaboo versus the other dude, the other African cruiserweight, and they looked like they were fighting in a FEMA camp. Not a concentration camp, but a refugee camp. But yeah, man. Never Sober says, say cap, don't cap now. Ennis got his ears boxed off. Stagger Lee, the caller, said, yeah, that's what it was. There you go. We missed it. Sorry, man. It's near the end of the show, man. We're getting a little tired here, missing some of the stuff.
I want to say I agree with Gonzalo. I didn't put my 150 on the pay-per-view. I would say that did, and that's big for him. But they'll say it did between 250 and 3. They'll lie, and you can lie because if you never fight anybody outside your organization, you don't have to open up the books. That's important. That's one of the things.
You know why I said that, Jimmy? Because the last name Garcia, believe it or not, I think brings a lot of clout. Even the casual will just hear the name Garcia. Okay, well, let's buy it. See what happens. Or if he fights this Garcia, he's facing the other Garcia. So that's pretty intelligent. I mean, as far as promotionally, how they did that, they lumped up one Garcia after another. I think that's the reason it sells a little bit.
Maybe, man. Yeah. Well, listen, the Ryan Garcia fight sells. This one, I mean, they're going to lie. You know they're going to lie, most likely. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a big old grain of salt. That's what I always like to say. In any event, like I said, shout out to everybody that called in, everybody that donated the super chat, and of course, everybody that listened to us. You guys are the best. You're ruthless, but that's why we like you. Shout out to I Am Your Leader, Eparukua, Never Sobers, Iber Stellar, Alejandro Solis, The Iceman, CapQuest, Knockout Ned, Stagger Lee, Texas Bulldog Boxing, King Bucho in the house as well. Who else was here? Parokua, did I mention him? Mad Dog H, Catch, Jonathan Morrison, aka Jackson in the house as well. So Passive Live, Clay Hamp, Shiny Bald Head. Like I said, everybody that called in, thank you so much, guys, for calling in and listening to the show. Always appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, check out the year-end review we did in the video section there. Check out Official Scorecard's video about Shakur Stevenson's use of the lead hand, both legal and illegal. It's a fantastic breakdown.
That was excellent.
Yeah,
I wanted to say, I'm glad you brought that up. Official Score did an excellent job. That was an excellent video.
Yeah, man.
Is he still on Twitter? I couldn't find him on Twitter. I was going to drop him a DM and tell him it was good, but I couldn't find his page. Maybe he took it down.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I saw him not that long ago on Twitter. You know me, I don't go on Twitter that much, but I do believe I saw him there. I mean, you can always message me on Discord. He's here on the Discord, so you just got to go to the list of names.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, I'm gonna, because he did an excellent job. He's got a good boxing mind.
He's got a good eye. A good eye. Not the evil eye, but a good eye. That's the way we like it.
A lot of our callers, we have some good callers. Yeah, no, that's why I like the show from the beginning. It was knowledgeable people. It wasn't just a fanboy page, people saying stupid shit.
We attract a good mix of animals and people that know their boxing, and both too. I mean, you can't be one without the other.
Cynical. We're a little cynical. We're a cynical place, but it is what it is.
Listen, you can't be one without the other. Anyway.
Yeah. They have to prove it to us. We don't want to fucking be. We don't take people's words, man. Show us. Don't tell us.
Exactly, man. Exactly. All right, well, listen, fellas, thanks again for joining us. I want to thank Gonzalo, Jimmy. Thank you for joining us. Shout out to you, fellas. We'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy, fellas. Thanks for watching.